Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I am your host, Brandon.
And Justin.
And Chris.
And today we will be discussing Day 9 of The Wind and Truth. Excited to discuss it. Lots of exciting things did happen in this section, but I'm ready to get to Day 10 and finish this book. So
Agreed. That's the summaries for Day 9.
That's the summary for Day 9?
Yeah, let's just get to Day 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, because weirdly, a lot of stuff happened and not a lot of stuff happened at the same time.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting.
Yes. So before we get into it, we are sponsored by Mudcat Whiskers. You can visit them at their website, www.mudcatwhiskers.com. They are a Louisiana small business that sells beard care products and candles, and they are about to start selling cologne. He just got his bottles in, and he's working on the formulas for the cologne. So if you don't have a beard and you want to wear cologne or like to wear cologne, you'll have that option. But you can check the website for he's got beard wash, conditioner, balms, butters, and oils. He has straight razors. He has beard combs, some body soaps, and like shampoo bars as well. And yeah, use code Paperweights at checkout to save yourself 15%. Yeah, Easter just passed. I had a pretty exciting weekend. I was by myself, and so I took the opportunity to sign up and participate in a jiu-jitsu tournament. And it was the first one I actually competed in since being white, since I was a white belt, and now I'm purple belt for like less than 2 months. So yeah, they put you against the same color belts, and I went 0-3 in my matches, but you know, I thought I performed pretty well. I had a whole lot of fun, and found out after each of my matches that the guys that I was competing against, they've been purple for about 2 years each, which is half the time I've been doing jiu-jitsu. So
Yeah.
But yeah, the third match was in what they call the Challenger division. And so basically what they do, like, you could do regular divisions, which is like age and weight. And also belt color. The Challenger division is they are divided into two weight groups, 175 and under, and then above 175. And it's like at that point it's belt and kind of age. But there were only two of us in there. But the final, so we automatically went in, it was considered the final match of that Challenger division. And all the final matches were in what they call this bowl. And so it wasn't just a flat mat that jiu-jitsu is normally done on. It had a circular wall that was angled, that was mats. And so like you could utilize the wall in the match. And it changed the dynamic of the match completely. But I had so much fun with that. The only downside was it was like 4.5 hours after my second match. So it's like, oh, and then like the venue wouldn't let athletes bring in food or water. So like if you wanted any of that, you had to go to the concession stand to buy it, which I think is really dumb. Like I understand spectators, but athletes, let them bring their own stuff in. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is squatters.
yeah. So yeah,
Did you have fun?
yeah, I had a whole lot of fun. I had a whole lot of fun. So how was y'all's Easter's?
Pretty
Mine,
good. That's
yeah, mine was pretty quiet, so it was pretty good.
Yeah, and I
Just
was
kind of,
alone Easter Sunday, so I drove out and had lunch with my sister's family, and then went and visited my grandmother in the hospital. So yeah, she was happy to see me on Easter Sunday, and I was happy to see her. So
yeah.
I have something to ask you, Brandon. Timer.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Make sure you got the timer going.
yes, it is on. It's going. It's ticking up. So all right, y'all ready to jump into this?
Sure, yeah,
I'm
let's
ready when
do
you
it.
are.
All right. So before we jump into chapter 100, I just want to ask, like, what's with all the great shells? Because that's exciting to me. Like,
No clue.
it's fun.
It's fun, but just so random. Like, I don't know. The interlude, I'm like, sure. I should have set up better. Because I have no clue. I have no clue about the interlude.
Yeah,
If it's like
I
the
mean,
Reshi Islands coming to, I don't even think that could work.
that would be fun if it was.
But isn't,
Are the
they're
Reshi
in,
Isles actually considered great shells?
yeah, they're
I
great shells, remember?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, true. That is true.
Prisons season.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think they're in the lake, so I don't think that actually works. So I don't know what these are.
Where's her days? Where's this map?
It's by the coast, so there's some like
No.
isn't it from the
Oh, this
coast?
is close enough to the Reshi Isles.
Yeah, her days is in the north, and so like it. Yeah, it's at the eastern end,
Hmm.
southeastern end of the Reshi Isles. So
Yeah. So I
Yeah, why not?
guess it could be them. That's the only ones we know that are as big as the city.
yeah, that one was crazy. So all right, chapter 100, God. We got the point of view. So we're getting a lot of point of view from Tanavast, or rather the Stormfather, which
Or
is
Tanner.
Tanner.
I was so disappointed that his name was Tanner. So
Yeah,
dumb. Every time Odium says, I'm
Timer.
like, ugh, that's such a bad name.
yeah.
It cracks me up though. It's funny.
And so, like, we do learn that the Stormfather is not in this chapter necessarily, but we do learn that the Stormfather has a fraction of Tanavast's memories and like personality shoved
Yeah,
into this avatar of honor.
we kind of already knew that, but it's confirmed.
Right. Like
We
we,
know
we
he.
definitely know, like before it was like, well, he kind of is, but he isn't, and now we know exactly what.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the God flashbacks that we'll get to are like stuff we already do. It's just kind of confirming it, basically, which is cool.
And it confirms it, and I think it shows the scope of the Cosmere and how like the struggles of our characters on the planet are like minuscule and on such a smaller scale than the shards and the deities and the gods in the Cosmere. So, but yeah, so we start off 10,000 years ago in the Rasharan system, and Tanavast arrives. Um, there's three inhabitable planets. Roshar, which is home to the singers, and then Ashen is home to humans, and then we get a third planet, which was um, had a strange,
Raised, right?
yeah, should be Braze, which has a strange metal that attracts investiture.
Yeah.
Um, and I think he calls that Alaswa, or it was called Alaswa before Tanavas changed the name to Braze to name it after Rays.
Yeah.
Um, he invested the land so that he became a god to Roshar. Um, like he influenced the night, the wind, and the stone, which we find out were like pieces of Adelnazium that he stuck there.
Remnants and whispers.
Yeah. Then cultivation shows up. We find out that she's a dragon. Um, and that they're in love, and they were in love before they took shards. And they decided that they wanted to be together, and they decided to ignore the fighting of the other gods, where Race was fighting Sky and Aona on Cell. He They broke their promise not to be together as well. Um, and then Race shows up. So obviously the planet Braze has aluminum on it, but then later on I was confused by when they were talking about the moon. We could talk about that later, but it was
Yeah.
like it's not aluminum, but it hid from it hid them from the gods. It was strange, but
Yeah.
so in this one, the only question I had here is: do you think that cultivation was the dragon, or is there another dragon on Roshar
Uh,
that Wit referred to?
since Wit knows them, it's probably cultivation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Knowing Brandon Sanderson, it's a new character that appears
yeah.
or heard of him.
Did we know that the original Shard Bearers were the people that killed Adonasium? Is that a thing we knew?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'd forgot that then. So that was something I learned. Um, and there's another dragon that's a Shard Bearer, right? We get that later, right?
Yes, Valor, I think,
Something
was
like that. Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
I wrote their names down, but they're not in this section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's fun stuff.
It's lore. It's
Yeah,
nice.
it
Yes.
is lore coming from a more um, reliable narrator, if you will. And then
Yeah.
thinking, like, I had to keep reminding myself in these chapters that it's Dalinar. Like, this is where Dalinar is, because like
Yep.
I was like feeling like, man, I'm missing Dalinar in this. I was like, oh wait, no, Dalinar is watching a movie.
Yeah. Basically.
He's watching the Lord of the Rings extended edition. Um, here, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else y'all got on this?
No, we get confirmation that dragons are uh kind of
Yeah.
they're the type of dragons that can turn to people. So they're not just like you're the Lord of the Rings dragons or whatever. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Right. Chapter 101, Steering a Chol. We get some Vinley and we get some Navani. Um, so we got here, Vinley is reminding herself where we left off, they were discovered by Elle and the Fused in the Shattered Plains. She's reminding herself that she is her own. She's not beholden to Odium anymore. And the five are deliberating on whether they should serve Odium or not. Um, they kind of exclude her from voting. They exclude the Fused from voting, but Leshwi is like, hey, maybe if we do this, let's see, and they become fodder for Odium, then he'll spare the other listeners that are outside hiding away, and it might be worth that sacrifice. Um, and Vinley was kind of considering it, but then was like, you know what? No, I set an oath to seek freedom and to help those in bondage. And so she requests to speak in front of the five. And then we go to Navani, she's being shown visions by Odium that make her feel pain, rejection, and isolation. There's one where she was a child and being made fun of for having trouble reading and writing. And then it moved on to a night when Gavilar abused her. We learned that her mother left and like divorced her father. So she has like generational trauma that just kind of goes down. Um, Later on, we get hints that Yasna, again, of Yasna's trauma, but we don't know what that was.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, she was in a padded room for a while.
yeah, Yasna.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they committed her.
I'm pretty sure she got her sprint and went into Shadesmar and was like, "What the?" Told people out there, and they were like, "You're insane." So they locked
Yep.
her up. That's what
That
that's what I'm gathering, but we
That
haven't.
kind of
Yeah,
hasn't been
but
valid. It hasn't been 100% confirmed.
but
yeah,
also,
But
I think she first noticed. I'm pretty sure in her POV of the prologue, her prologue POV,
I just
she made a note that she saw an ink spren that looked different, and that was Ivory. But I could be wrong.
yeah. I don't know.
You could be right, Justin, but uh so yeah, Navani starts to realize that there is a pattern with the visions, and she figures that she could steer them to where she wants. So she steers it to um a vision with or rather, sorry, she steers it to Kolinar, the night that Elokar died, because she was trying to find Gavinar. And she figured, oh yeah, he's been being shown he's been seeing his mom torture him and his father, die in Kolinar. So it's like, okay, I got to go there. He'll be in a vision like that.
that's where all his trauma is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she connects it and goes over there. Um, and I think that's where that chapter.
That's where the chapter ends, but
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was funny that Gavilar was during it. Gavilar said something to her, and she was like, "Oh, you wouldn't know that. I never told you that." And then it like rewinds and like Odium rewinds it and makes it say the correct thing, and she's like, "Aha, no, I understand you."
Yeah, he like goes
yeah,
to hit her. He goes to hit her, and she's like, "He never hit me, so I'm able."
But there was a secondary one as well.
Yeah,
yeah, it was like he said something about her being like an illiterate. And he was like, he never knew that about me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, sure, her ability in the last book and this book to remain calm in crazy situations and actually think about what needs to be done is she's keeping the party going.
Yeah,
yeah.
as much as she doesn't think she's a scholar, I almost at times think she's a better scholar than Yasna.
Well, she's
I don't
gotten
know.
over that now.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say she's a scholar. She's
She's
very smart
100%.
and very quick on her. I know, but I'm saying like I think scholar is someone that's sitting there in the library researching stuff, but not that she doesn't research. But I wouldn't say like an inventor is the same as a
Yeah,
scholar.
yeah. She's a scientist
Yeah, a scientist. I'll go with that. Like,
because Yaza's not a scientist. Yaza's like a philosopher, basically.
yeah.
Aren't those both considered scholars?
I would say yes, but when you
No, the Yasna stuff you would think of more just they might technically both, but the ones people colloquially use would be like the kind of more academic
yeah.
scholar.
No.
Like my was an engineer. I wouldn't call him a scholar. You know what I mean? He's more practical than,
Okay.
but it's kind of semantics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else y'all How?
Um,
No.
All right. Yeah, it was funny. The title steering a Chol and the Chol being the visions that Odium's feeding her.
yeah.
All right. Chapter 102, A Blade in the Night. We get a Seth flashback 9.5 years ago. He is sneaking into Eltcaller Monastery to assassinate Posen. Um, at first, he's like, "Oh man, I usually don't like doing sneaking around stuff," but he's like, this is a mercy for him." Before he gets there, he overhears Posen and Civi talking. Um, and he learns that Civi, when she found out about the voice, what the truth about the voice, she didn't talk for 3 months, but then finally came around. Um, Seth, or his father is kind of being held hostage as a blackmail trump card against Seth, and he goes to talk to Civi, and she kind of questions him, like, "What did you see?" Um, and so she's like kind of not sure, and we saw that with the fact that we start to connect that she was more in line with Seth's beliefs, um, by the sheer fact that she kind of killed herself, um, instead of fighting him at the monastery. Uh, Posen walks in on them with fruit, and he's like, "Oh, you're here. I know why you're here." And Seth is like, "Okay, I'm not going to murder you." And then he asks them to join him. Wait, no. Posen asks Seth uh, to join. Is that right? I didn't write names down. I said, as Seth leaves, he extends an invitation to join him, but if they don't, he will fight them. Okay. He asks Civi and Posen to join him in opposing the voice, but if they don't, he will fight them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pronouns.
You know that voice didn't help Posen and them at all. I think in question, they're like, "Hey, there was an assassin here, and he overheard everything. Not only that, like at the end, he chose to run away. But there was a moment there. It's like he could kill both these people. There's no question. Seth is just a better warrior. He could have killed both of them. And the voice didn't wasn't the warning like, "Hey, the assassin's in your house" or nothing like that.
Well, he sure doesn't care about them.
I know that's funny. That's what I'm saying. Like, as one of the other, like at Civi, I'd be like, why didn't the voice say something? Like,
I mean, I don't think the voice talks to them all that
I'm
That's
just saying.
kind of what they insinuated. Like it kind of
Yeah,
comes and
But
goes.
but also the
I was
voices,
about to get killed. I'd be like,
we learn the voice is
I
Ishar.
know, I know it's
And
a
not
show
just Ishar, but Ishar
with a
after he
little,
took the well of Odium.
yeah.
So it's he's still influenced by the shard, the power of Odium, who
I
wants
know,
people to
which
fight.
is which is why I get why the voice didn't say anything. I'm saying as someone that's following the voice, why would I be like, because she mentions it in the second one where it's like the voice didn't stop us from fighting, y'all. Should we really be doing this? Like it's kind of more of that. Like, are we the baddies?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No.
she does. So the quote here that she starts to question, like, she literally starts to question things
Yeah.
after Seth starts talking, and she's like, "What did you see, Seth? Could that be right? Could I have been deceived? That's the form I'd have chosen for a deception, but Seth, it's not." And she cuts off.
Yeah.
Uh,
Man,
yeah. I mean, Civi, besides Tuco and obviously Seth, Civi is one that questions. And she's a little more sure than like Seth is, because like Seth is just like, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I feel like I'm right, but then like it's almost like Seth has been gaslit his entire life. If he has enough people tell him, or the correct person tell him that he's wrong, then he believes it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if people you trust tell you you're wrong, you're probably going to believe it. So, any,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I overall I did like the stealth vibe of this chapter.
Yeah.
It was
yeah. I
Oh.
don't know, these flashbacks only worked for me, but they were fine.
I, I want more, but I enjoy what I get. So,
And, my thing has been pretty consistent through most of these. I feel like most of the flashbacks could be cut for all the books, except for like Dalinar's flashback and some
yeah,
other, like, or trimmed.
combined, but I think he feeds them into at certain times for your kind of like a lot of TV shows do, where they show you previously, and then they'll show you something from like 10 episodes ago that they hadn't been showing you, and
Yeah,
it like shows up, and you're like, oh yeah, that happened, and then something happens in that next episode that ties into it.
yeah, they're not bad. They're just largely unnecessary for most of these books, which is fine. You can enjoy reading them. Like Kaladin's and Way of Kings, like you could have cut like half of those chapters, and some other ones.
Yeah.
Like some are necessary. Like the Dalinar ones are necessary. I'm trying to think. Eshonai's were semi. You could have cut most of those because it was just kind of reiterating stuff we already knew, if I remember correctly. Or was it Finley? I don't know. Whatever the flashbacks.
Was
They're
Vinley and
fine.
Ash and I, but
Yeah.
you got a sense of you learned more about the singer or listener culture from those.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're all fine.
Yeah. All right, chapter 103, Weathered. We get some Kaladin and we get some Sigil. Good old Kaladin is cooking breakfast. He's supposed to be up cooking breakfast or something. Uh, the Wind decides to speak with Syl and Kaladin and asks them to touch a stone, at which he gives them like brief visions of a stone statue that's weathered over time due to the touch of the wind. Kind of connects that and says, even though I love the stone, my touch over time deteriorates the stone. Um, and equates that to the love and touch to the heralds, and pleads with Kaladin to help Nail and the other heralds because they are the wind remembers who they are and wants them to return to what they were. Seth is smiling as he eats this breakfast, even though he thinks carrots for breakfast are a very weird thing. And Kaladin also is eating carrots for the first time.
Carrots are delicious.
But he cooks them and he puts sugar on them. Okay. That
Candied
sounds fun.
carrots.
Huh?
Candied carrots. I don't know.
Candy? Yeah. I would eat candied carrots for breakfast.
Sure.
Chris, no?
I mean, I eat carrots for breakfast. I'd eat candy carrots for breakfast.
I don't like cooked carrots though. I like raw carrots.
I like both.
Yeah.
All right, then we move on to Sigil, who flies out to fight the fused on top of the wall. They get some husked ones that gang up on him, and they say that they were promised to fight to Kaladin. And Sig's like, well, you know what? You can't kill me because I know who I saw this vision of my death, and y'all weren't the ones that killed me. They were like, hey, if we kill you, will Kaladin come? He's like, oh, y'all aren't killing me. Y'all aren't the ones that killed me. Um,
I have an unresolved fortune cookie. You can't kill me.
yeah. And then Lopin and the boys arrive. The rest of the Bridge Four who are alive, and they were only able to bring half of the Windrunners that they had because of due to the amount of stormlight they had, and you know luckily, it's the rest of Bridge 4. And we find out they chased the Skybreakers off. They relay the information about the spiritual realm and Navani and Dalinar being stuck in it. Vienta warns that they're at the limit of their use of Stormlight, and if they absolutely need to flee through the Oath Gate, or they won't have enough Stormlight to operate it, and they'll be stuck. And then good old Ka arrives with a message from Vinley, and he says, Sigil says that her plan isn't what he needs, but he realized how he can use her for a different plan.
Yeah.
That's annoying because Vinley does the same thing later.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean,
But
we know
they're
the
not-
we know the plan though. Right.
Neither one of them are saying what their plan is.
But we kind of figure it out. It's basically that Yasna transferred ownership to Vinley, so she is gonna control the Shattered Plains. Right?
I
That's
figured
what happened.
something like that.
Because she gives her a paper, which is a treaty, saying that like you've conquered us.
It has something to do with
So now,
ownership.
she has ownership of the plains, which the listeners will now own it after tomorrow or whatever.
So I knew.
That's what I got from it.
I figured that Vinley and the listeners were going to have the ownership. Like they were going to be on Narak Prime at the end of the conflict, and it was going to remain in the coalition's hand. I did not pick up that Yasna sent a treaty, a paper treaty.
Yeah, there's like one sentence where she's like, "Yeah, I sent the thing to Shattered Plains for something." Like, he's very vague because he doesn't want to like reveal his thing at the end of the next day or whatever. But that's what I kind of gathered. I'd be a little surprised with something different, and that's why they that's why they had the Great Shield stay at Narak Prime, so they'd be there for the end of the tournament or whatever.
Yeah, I figured it was something like that, but my mind was on. I mean, obviously it is literally the plan you're saying. I just missed that Yasna sent that treaty. I know she said before that, hey, if y'all ever need us, we'll be there.
It's like a sentence in one of the Yasna chapters. She's like, "Yeah, I sent the thing Sigil asked for," or something like that.
Yeah.
When she's like preparing for the Law and Order episode.
Okay.
Dun, dun.
Okay. Y'all got anything else?
No, I wish Vinley was more in this book and the listeners in general. It's kind of sad that they showed up like day 5 or 6 or something and we really haven't interacted with any of our other characters. And I was kind of hoping for the Sigil Vinley thing to be on page. We haven't gotten to yet, but
Yeah.
it's not really. It's just like it's in service for this reveal, which will hopefully be cool. But
Yeah.
Since book 4 was a lot with Vinley, book 5's like she's like barely in it, which is kind of sad.
Yeah. He
But
does that though. Like he'll give you a lot of one thing,
Yeah,
and then the next book it's not in there a whole lot. So
yeah. But the chapter itself, I mean, it was fine. It's pretty good.
all right. Chapter 100.
Oh, I did have a thought. Sorry. It seems like Dalinar should have thought better when he was negotiating the days for where like a high storm would come, like midway through and recharge all their shit, just as a tactician, because it kind of high storm comes on a regular interval, so you could be like, we'll do it on this day where the high storm will come and recharge all our stuff. But anyway, it's just a funny little thought I had.
Well,
The high storms aren't 100% predictable, and there was one that did come through.
and he can do a perpendicularity and recharge everything.
Yeah, but
I also don't think he was really thinking, because if he was really thinking about it, it would have been like, let's freeze borders.
Yeah, I understand it's oversight. It had a lot of oversight. It's just something I thought of. It was kind
Yeah.
of funny. Because yeah, maybe do it all. I know it's not 100% accurate, but they're pretty good on figuring out when it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
that
just
that's
a
that is a good point anyway. So,
yeah, it's just a thought I had. Another one of Dalinar's failings. If we were Adolin,
but I don't think there's gonna be another high storm that
no, there's not.
Just
it
Unless
died in a whimper.
yeah,
All right, chapter 104, Enemy. We go back to Tanner, 8,000 years ago. So it's been
Tanner.
2,000 years since they arrived. Um, Race, he decided to land on Alaswa, which is actually Ashen.
Yeah, that's Asher.
Yeah, that's Ashen. And he did the same thing that Tanavas did on Roshar, but he did it for Ashen, and the humans are worshiping him. But he did a thing where he's making them fight. He made them all city states, and he backed a whole lot of them, gave them surges, and then like killing all the rest, making
he's he's just playing with his dolls.
yeah.
He's a kid playing war with his little toy soldiers. We all been there.
We get a reveal that the Parshendi or Singers, whatever, we don't actually have their real race name at this point. It's like several different things, but we find out that they didn't sing before Tanavas got there, and he taught them to sing to the stones, at which point they became the singers. Uh, he and Kor created Spren, which they said were beings who evolved through perception and not through genetics. Together, they created 7 varieties. Then they each created their own, which would be Cultivation Spren and Honor Spren. Um, and then they had one other type that isn't mentioned.
Well, that's a sibling. That's the bondsmith sprint. So, like, from what I understood, it wasn't that they created sprins, that sprins were still a manifestation, but they created a better form of sprint, and those are the 9 thinking sprints, the honor sprint, the high sprint, the cryptics, all the ones that made radiance. So they made 7 different ones that were just thinking sprint that were a higher form than just, oh, it's wind. I'm a wind sprint. It's like, oh no, you're a complex being. And then there was like, okay, cultivation, you make one that's just you. I'm gonna make one that's just me. And then that was 9. And then together they made a 10th one that was the sibling.
That makes
And that's the bond one. Yeah, because I
yeah.
want to say it says that there was still like the Spren themselves were relics of Adal Nauseam. It's power, just kind of like a ability for feelings to manifest in the cognitive realm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, Tanavas leaves Roshar to go watch what Race is doing on Alaswa. Um, and then he saw him building up the empire and giving them surges. Race finally notices him. And Tanavas realizes that Race is like injured and fragmented from his fight of killing. At this point he killed Sky and Aona, and then destroyed Ambition, and so like he's kind of injured from that fight. Tanavast withdraws, watches from a distance, and he saw uh, a dark-skinned man who ends up being named Makibak, who was Nail's um, uncle.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And they were making an alliance against Race's preferred people.
Yeah.
And he decided to
Yezresin.
do what?
Against Yezresin and all this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And He decided to make himself known and offer power to the Makabaki, or who became known as the Makibaki. Um, and so then he gets involved.
Couldn't help himself.
Yeah.
He literally couldn't help himself.
I don't know if that's like the shard that's influencing that, like the honorable thing to do. Like
I feel like
it's
it
just
is 'cause he knows better.
it's not necessarily always the good thing either, right?
I know. Honor
But
isn't good necessarily.
yeah, honor isn't inherently good. It's just doing something because you know you said you were going to do something. Holding to your word of yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't really. I mean, it's just kind of like a lore dump. I don't really have anything
Yeah.
else on the
Yeah.
list.
I will say overall, I feel like it fits with the theme of the book, but the Sanderlanche in this book is really more about, okay, here's the answers to all like the little stories I've been hinting at. So here's the story.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think this is a standard.
It's the start of one.
I don't think so.
I think it's what the book's. I don't think it's going to be some epic fighting Sanderlanche. This is more like what the Sanderlanche is going to be in
I
this
mean, I
book.
think Adolin's gonna take back Azapar, but and then whatever Dalinar and Taravangian do,
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel like
and then whatever the hell
I
Kaladin.
felt so the fighting in Azamir in this chapter, it felt almost like that episode of Game of Thrones, the Battle of the Bastards, where it just
Yeah.
kind of slowly like closed in and was suffocating. But I didn't feel any like true sense of loss with
I have,
Azamir going out, Finn jumping
yeah,
sides. Like,
I have thoughts on the
We'll get to that. We'll
Adolin
get to
stuff when we get there.
okay. All
But
right.
yeah,
and stuff.
Points of transition. We have chapter 105. We have Navani and Vinley. So Navani reaches out to the sibling to try to find a way out. She says, "You need a point of transition." And so Navani's like, maybe I'll trick the vision into giving me one. So she does find Elokar, who sees her as Navani. They find Gav. He asks why Grandpa hates everybody, but says that his dad says he should be strong like Dalinar. Um, Odium has taken Elokar's place in the vision, realizes that Navani is tricking and manipulating the vision, and forces her to stay in this one. So she was like, I want to move you out. He's like, nope, you're going to stay in this one. Tries to make her feel um, sympathy for Elokar and make her stay and pull her back in, but she ignores him. Finds Kaladin and is like, hey, I need you to activate this oath gate. He's like, what? He's like, if there's anything in you, and I think this is another instance of like the visions actually like in spiritual realm actually having a piece of that person's soul and being able to command it to do something because that like Kaladin would totally have activated the oath gate, for Navani. So like she manipulates the spirit, not the vision, but this power in the spiritual realm to do that.
It feels like the people in the spiritual realm are still somehow in the vision connected to their actual self, their soul or whatnot. So she sought out Kaladin because Kaladin is a good guy and he would do this. It's kind of like what you're saying. Like I feel like it's like that.
Yeah, so it's not like present day
That's how like
Kaladin
wits
going.
are always aware.
Yeah, it's not like present day Kaladin going, oh yeah, hey, old me, activate that. But it's just like that part of his soul that would have been what Kaladin would have done. The spiritual realm made it happen because of that connection.
Yeah, I mean, he also activated the Oath Gate during that time too. So it's also, well, I guess Shallan did, but so it's like something that still happened. But yeah, I get your point. You're able to kind of
It-
manipulate people.
so they do, and it sends her back to the present day, out of the spiritual realm into the tower. Um,
Finally,
Yay! Finally out. I love how I love the thought process that Navani had there. Um, there's one of the better parts of that. Like not just I stumbled upon it, but it was well within her character of problem solving and coming up with a solution.
yeah,
Uh, there-
more manipulation of the spiritual realm.
yeah, and I think she's she's definitely besides the Janat Spren. She's definitely shown the ability to manipulate the spiritual realm more than anybody else.
Oh, Shallan, she was able to hide from Odium.
Yeah, that well, besides Shallan.
Yeah,
Like Dalinar, no. Like he's just
yeah. I mean, I guess with that, because Shallan's using her light weaving powers, but she's just able to use her like rule set or whatever to manipulate it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
So then we jump to Vinley, a short little bit. She uses her radiant powers to kind of leave lumps of rock under a blanket, and they travel through the stone to meet with Sigil. She tells him the same thing he told her. Oh, your plan isn't going to work, but I think I can take parts of your plan and parts of mine, but I need Yasna to do it. So she still needs Yasna for it. I think that was the start of her plan because I think right there, Vinley remembered that Yasna had that hand. When they parted, she left an open hand for help if they needed it. So
Yeah.
I think that plays into your
Yeah, she also needs her to have any like legal transfer of power and stuff like that. That's why I'm pretty sure it's happening.
power of
Could be totally
attorney.
wrong. Power, basically, yeah.
Anything else?
No, big.
All right. So we will move on to chapter 106, Cardinal Sin. This is another Seth flashback 9 years ago. First, we get a battle where Seth leads his few hundred acolytes into the battle, and all of who had never killed before. And they start to I think he starts to feel bad that he's killing people. Um, and then it jumps to the end of the battle where most of the townspeople they've kind of like surrendered, but the townspeople don't believe Seth when he's like, "Yeah, the Voidbringers are back." And they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, okay." But they're doing what they request. I think like cooking food for them, feeding them, and things like that. And then the voice starts to talk to Seth again, and he's pushing him to civil war. To get to the tipping point and draw the honor bearers out to kill him. He said he's committed a cardinal sin of killing his own kind at this point. And Seth has the idea of going back to his hometown to recruit the armies that his father has trained, because he believes that they will surely join him in this.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Like a lot of these chapters, this section felt really small.
They did.
3 or 4 pages in the next thing. Like all the gods, all
It
that
made the reading
stuff.
go fast, and it made the pace feel a lot uh, better, even though we weren't getting so much. A lot happened. Like we progressed over a large time to get to the point of the Sander of the actual Sanderlanche. Um, I think a lot of this could definitely have been like sprinkled out in earlier days. Um, I think it might have helped with the pacing of the book overall to
Yeah,
feel because it just I don't know,
Yeah.
the first 6 days just really felt like
yeah, like filler basically.
yeah.
Well, one is because Kaladin was basically just doing a side quest, which he's still doing, and then like they're down or everybody else was getting information, which they're still doing, but it was like less interesting information. That's what
It
sort
was
of
the
kept
beginner
dragging.
stuff.
And then like Aelin stuff, which like the beginning of the siege, that's kind of stuff. And this is more than so yeah. But yeah,
Adolin stuff was cool all the way through.
sure, that's the best part of this book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was the
Except
best.
for this part.
His shit was the best part last book too.
What do you do? Oh,
Well, I mean, no,
And he had a Law and Order episode last book.
Raboniel's was the best last
yeah, Navani Rebellion was the best.
Yeah.
but secondary apart from Kaladin doing I mean, yeah, now that I think about it, I mean Kaladin doing Die Hard was pretty fun. If you think of it in that mind frame,
Die
it's
hard, die
fun.
hard, die hard, die hard.
Um, and then he does fall out of Nakamori Tower. Um, uh, but the end, the emotional with the death of Teft at the end, that was a hard hitting moment. But consistently throughout the book, the Navani Raboniel stuff was the best, followed closely by Adolin in Shadesmar and Lasting Integrity.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Chapter 107. We're going to move on to Voidbringer. Back to the Stormfather flashback. We have now skipped 900 years. We are on Ashen, and the Avatar of Honor is holding a dead child. And Race is like, oh no, maybe we took this too far. But the power of honor is reveling inside of Tenevast. And it's like honor, it doesn't matter whether it's honor in death or honor in life, it loves it and it's eating up this battle. So like a different feeding of emotion than the shard of odium is with battles and fights. Um, but it's still loving it. And then Jezrien shows up. He was the king of the city state that raised up. And he offers peace to Makabak, who is Nail's uncle. Ishar has found the portal to Roshar, and they step through, and Raze follows them through. And Tanavast returns to Roshar to Corvelium and weeps in her arms until the who become the heralds enter through the portal. Uh, they renamed Alaswa Ashen for the smoke and destruction that was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So Lord Dumb.
The cool thing, they do names this person Zorl, and they name him the Voidbringer. Like he is the Voidbringer. I don't know if that's gonna have any any continuation, but that's something that stood out in this chapter to me.
Yeah.
Outside of that, the fact that the Makibaki region is named after Nail's uncle.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so,
The Voidbringer.
but this is that piece between Jezrien and Nail or Makibak. That is what. So what you remember last book on Bridge 4 or the fourth bridge whenever Nail landed there and Dalinar touched him and he started seeing all these visions. This
Um,
was this was one of those visions that he saw, and it was like confusing at the time because he's like, Nail is standing in front of Jezrien, and Jezrien saying, "We were wrong. You were right the whole time, and we were on the wrong side." Um,
Yeah.
so it's cool stuff. It makes that scene make more sense. I did like that scene though, because I went, what? I wanted to know more about what was happening, even though it's not as big. I mean, it still is like, oh, this is good lore. Like without this reveal, that scene would be like confusing as hell. But
Yeah. So this might just be headcanon, but what I had for Zorel is he was the previous king of the Ezreans thing,
yeah,
and he like started the war. That's why it was named Voidbringer. That's what I got. I don't know if it's actually in the text. That's just kind of what I inferred from it. And then
got that he was the
Jezreen killed him, and then he took over.
oh, I
That's what I got from it, but I don't know if it's true.
I didn't think much into it. I just like I wrote down the name because I was like, they named him Voidbringer, and that was about it. I think Chris is reading through it too.
um so there's two sentences that use his name. The first one is Jezreel is like Zoil, he who was named the Voidbringer is dead. I'm king now, I'm gonna be a better leader. And then later on, it's saying something of and the very stones melting room. With luck, we can make a portal and flee. Join us. Just like Zorl said all those years ago. Join us. So I think like he was the leader of that kingdom. I guess it doesn't say he started the war, but he probably started the war.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I
I
like
like to think that he's called the Voidbringer because it sounds like their surges might be some of the same surges, but they might have also had surges we've never seen because they are like bound and stuff right now. But it sounded like they could all do all kinds of crazy different surges, and there might be some void surge. I don't even know what that would be, but literally like warping people out into the void. Maybe you can make portals. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Could
well,
also be that he was the one that like brought the ash to Ashen or whatever, he like
Yeah.
walked in the skies, brought the void or whatever. Makes sense either way.
we do know, like, I mean, Harold's, um, especially with the fight Nail later on, he mentions like, uh, I
Well, they
rarely
have.
have to bring out the full power of a Herald to defeat somebody, but you're making me have to do it.
Yeah.
Um, well, we never got to see what it was.
Yeah, Honor talks about how he gave more of himself to the Heralds than anything else. It's like, all right, they got some superpower.
Yeah.
Well, we see him Super Saiyan,
All
Kaladin.
right.
We see Kaladin go Super
No,
Saiyan.
we see Nail go Super Saiyan on Kaladin.
Oh yeah.
He can like move like he basically goes Goku.
Was it what was it in Super Dragon Ball Super? What'd they call that?
Super Saiyan God.
Yeah, Ultimate or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Blue, there's Super Saiyan God, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Ultra Instinct.
Ultra, yeah, the Super
Yeah.
Saiyan Ultra Instinct. There you go.
Uh,
Um,
All right. Chapter 108,
yeah.
Service. We've got a little bit of Seth, a little bit of Kaladin, a little bit of Yasna. So Seth and Kaladin are at the Skybreaker Monastery. Um, Seth is like, I feel like I have to kill. And Kaladin is like, well, how can I help you? Uh, and Seth thinks he's asking how he can change his mind, but Kaladin's just like, okay, well, if that's you feel you have to do that, how can I assist in with your mission? Um, and Kaladin mentions how he had to step back and become a leader to make himself stop killing. Let's see. Seth tells Kaladin, "Tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it." And Kaladin is like, "No, I can't tell you what to do. You have to make a decision, and I will support whatever decision you make." And so they go inside the monastery, and of course they find Nail, who's standing there. Nail tells Seth that he won't have to fight him as long as he agrees to do whatever he tells him to do at the next monastery. And Seth's like, wait, no, I need to know what you're going to tell me to do. I need to know what the stakes are before I just agree to this. At which point, Nail attacks, and Seth just drops his blade, and Kaladin steps in with Syl spear and blocks Nail's sword from hitting Seth. Yay!
Yeah.
You?
We switch POVs to Kaladin, and Seth is like Nail's like, stand down, Kaladin. And Seth's like, no, Kaladin's my champion. He fights in my place. Uh, and then Kaladin's like, hey, how about we fight without Stormlight surges? We don't use any Stormlight. And Nail's like, you're already at a disadvantage. He's like, yeah, but this might make it more fair. He's like, okay.
Yeah, he's just like,
No Stormlight surges? He's like, yeah, okay. I got other things. So it's like he's got something else up his sleeve.
yeah. He's like wit. Say wit, no stormlight storm. He's like, okay, I got like 12 other investitures. What do you want to do? Like,
Yeah. And that's when the wind reminds Kaladin that one, with Honor dead and Jezrien gone, Nail has access to forces that were once forbidden to him. So it definitely has surges we haven't seen. And then of course, at the end of this, Nail is like, armor's allowed, as are our blades and talents, unrelated to Stormlight. And that last bit was like the nail in the coffin, nail in the
the
coffin.
nail. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Ah, ah, ah.
Um,
Kaladin should
or
have put out a
or a
hammer.
warning, like, yeah, something's gonna happen. And then we jump to Yasna, and she has
By the way, I just want to say the opening to the Yasna section, after dealing with an interesting manner involving the battle at the Shattered Plains, Yasna met with So that's the only reference, but there is a reference right there.
yeah, I actually wrote a note here. I thought it says
Um,
apparently Yasna has already met with Sigil and Vinley. Yeah, she prepared. She did that, and then prepared herself for the coming talk with by talking to Wit, who has warned her that Taravangian is more dangerous. Finn, of course, doesn't believe that she will be persuaded, but Yasna thinks it's going to be more dangerous than a battle. And Taravangian shows up. Finn tries to just straight up say, look, I'm not going to deal with you. You might as well go away. Uh, and he's like, well, if you're not going to, there's no harm in just listening to me, right? Just a silver tongue old man. And then this is where Taravangian reveals that Yasna will be making her arguments for him and tells her, thanks for your service. And that little bit of thanking Yasna for that just reminded me of the Lord Ruler thanking Mare for giving up Kelsier.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for leading him to me.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I got a problem with it, but I think I'm gonna save my comment for the Shalon debate. Not the Shalon debate, the Yasna debate that's gonna happen next time we meet up.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't got much, but yeah, it's a fun little twist or whatever. The little thing to leave the chapter off on. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't got much.
Nah, it's fine.
But it's all starting stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get to the meat of it in another chapter.
Yeah. All right. Chapter 109, Rationalization. We get Kaladin's point of view. Basically, we get Kaladin's fight with Nail. Um, Kaladin eventually summons his armor at some point and realizes he's not as good fighting with it than he was without it. Then Nail just straight up summons his armor and punches Kaladin in the face with it. Uh, he brings up Halloran, at which point Kaladin is like, "Oh, you started all this shit? You're the one that got me like put into slavery and running bridges and all this fucked up stuff. Like, oh my God, I hate you even more now. Why? I don't want to save you anymore. Like, um,
Like, how can you be such a oh, I hate you
and
now. You're the worst.
it's funny because this is like the fourth or fifth time somebody goes, "This is what started this whole thing." Like, we're just like, oh,
But didn't
Seth.
he already knew that though, right?
No,
Did
he didn't know that Nail sent
But he
Halloran.
knew he was a Skybreaker, and Nail was the
which is
leader of the
nails.
Skybreakers. Yeah,
Yeah, but
maybe it's just clicking in his mind or whatever.
yeah, I think it was just that realization. Um, but no, like this is like the fourth or fifth different time characters are like, oh, this is the point that started everything. Because
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh, it all started when Seth killed Gavilar. No, it didn't start at that point. Like it's like, okay, okay, okay. But everybody has their own starting point where their life went bad, right? So
Yeah.
like Helleran being sent to kill Amaram, but mistakenly Amaram, it should have been Kaladin, right? So like Helleran should have been trying to kill Kaladin, but that
But I think they were going to kill Amaran just to get him to stop investigating it, not knowing
No,
that there
no, they
oh
thought he was
they
the
they thought he was
potential
the
radiant.
Radiant. Yeah.
Hmm.
They thought he was the Radiant that was in that army, but
Ah.
Yeah.
which is why they went to kill him. But it should have been Kaladin. He hit it well, or rather, Syl hit it well. Um, yeah, Syl points out, quote, he's always had this broken belief that if he killed the Radiants, it would have prevented the desolation, but we came back because we felt the desolation was coming. Of course, we already knew that. Um, do 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 do. Nail brings up Lift being the only Radiant or maybe even person to have ever defeated him in single combat, which is fun. It adds to her repertoire. So she's defeated Lift, or she's defeated Nail and defeated a full-blown Ferrochemist.
Was that in Edge Dancer? I barely remember Edge Dancer.
Yes.
Or was it? Or is he talking about her getting away from him in book 2 or whatever?
Oh, it no, it was book two. It would have had to be book two.
When he kills Gox and all that?
Yes. That's what it should have been.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't remember her fighting him in Edge Dancer, so I was curious.
no, she listened to him in Edge Dancer. Uh,
Yeah.
all right. So then Kaladin decides to try a different tactic, appealing to his sense of justice, and the fact that Halloran killed many innocents. And Nail, of course, is like, well, no, he was a member of the opposing army, so he had jurisdiction to kill. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. he has a revelation about protecting those who can't protect themselves, but realizes he did this not because he was compelled to do it, but wanted to. Um, and he starts to do better in the fight and is able to dodge, or sorry, Nail is able to dodge a lot of his attacks. um, at which point he's about to be killed, and Seth's like, "No, no, no, I'll do whatever you want." Um, then that's when Nail goes Super Saiyan and tosses Kaladin around like the Hulk. Um, and then Syl steps in front of Nail in full size. He steps through her, at which point 12124 steps in. Nail calls him a disgrace, and then they hear the sound of a flute.
Yeah.
The next chapter has one of the funniest fucking scenes in probably the entire series. Um, so yeah, that was that chapter.
Let's do the next.
Yeah, it picks up right in the next
I'm
one.
fine doing the next chapter and just talking about the fight as a
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so next chapter, the wind is singing the song back to Kaladin and Nail. And Kaladin realizes, oh, hey, look, when it sings back to me, that's what Wit said. Kaladin decides to pull the wooden flute out that he got from Wit, and he's like, I have a flute, and then Nail just like punches him and then stomps the flute, which is like one of the most hilarious scenes to me. I sat there and laughed for a second. Um, then Syl makes herself into a flute for him to play, and he starts telling the story of
Very
Dareth.
kinky.
Yeah. I shall play you the song of my people.
You do the blowing, I'll do the fingering.
I was about to say it. Ah, you saw me getting up to say it. I was like,
Shout out
Yeah.
Alien Covenant.
you blow, I'll do the fingering.
Yeah, but
and
it's amazing
So-
scene.
he tells
Cinematic
us,
masterpiece.
It's unique.
yeah, definitely. David. That was his name, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of them. 'Cause there's two of them.
So they tell the story. He tells the story of Darethil and the Wandersail. Um, then he threatens to kill Seth. Nail says he became a herald because he feared that others would forget the little people of the lands. He then asks if Nightblood can destroy him because he hates who he has become. And then he kneels down and takes Seth's hand, and Syl and 12124 appear on either side of him. And then his own Spren 121 appears and then vanishes, presumably ending their Nile bond. So he is no longer actually a Skybreaker. He's still a Herald, not a Skybreaker. So I wanted to point something out here. So I'm still reading Elantris. I'm over halfway through it, but there's like 3 religions in Elantris that are all like related to each other. One of them is Shu-Dereth, and they call him the
Dareth, go. Shoo, Dareth.
If you are a practicer of Dareth, Shu-Dereth, you believe in Derethi or Derethi. And I don't know if that's related here, like lore-wise in the Cosmere. Could be related. But there's like Shu Koreg, Shu Kessig, and Shu Dereth.
Mm.
All right, go ahead. Talk about the fight, Chris.
I mean, I'll talk about the fight. I freaking really.
You said you had thoughts about it. I thought it was really well done, fun.
I get that vibe. Like you see it, it's I mean, that's what they're going for, that overall vibe. I always love that vibe of where someone's fighting somebody with their whole, their whole heart, and the other guy's like, "Good, good. Do you feel good? Yeah, you're doing real good, man. Oh yeah, you almost had me there, like almost like training, just like, oh. It's like Strong Belwas in the Song of Ice and Fire. Like not he wasn't in the show, but in the book there was this dude who he was covered in scars and he stood up to be Danny's champion at one point. And this dude on a horse came and he just stood there and he just steps to the side slightly as the horse ran by and like the spear didn't gouge him, but it cut across his chest. And then when the fighter came back, Strong Belwas killed him in like one hit, and it was just like, well, why'd you let him stab you? It's like, I always want them to feel good, get one cut in. Felt like that. It's like, oh, you almost had me there, Storm. I'll
It,
have to
it reminds me of
swap it.
Fast and Furious is like, I almost had you. Almost
Mhm.
had me? You never
You
had
almost
your
had me.
car.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
say he lost the flute now, so I want to know where that flute came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
what is the history of that flute?
it it felt too fast for me. It's kind of like he told him like a poem, and the guy like broke 4,000 years of his philosophy. So it was fine. It just
Well,
was
his philosophy
fast.
is breaking already.
I know. It was just kind
Yeah, it
of.
was in the process
I
of
rolled
breaking.
my eyes at it a little bit. Like, all right, Paladin, you said like a pretty okay parable, and the guy like broke. It was just kind of. I don't know. The fight itself was fun, and
This
it needed to happen, so it's fine.
this was Nail's re-salvation.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine.
I like the idea of it that just,
Just felt a
in the
little
middle of the
quick.
fight, just the wind starts bringing in the music. He's like, yeah. It's
Oh,
like, it's what happens when you respec your character and go full bard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Is this where we find out the details of the defectors? Or did we already find that out?
We know there are defectors.
Yeah, I don't think we know the details of them, just that there are defectors from. I
Yeah.
don't think they say it here. I think it's in the next chapter when he talks about
Okay.
the.
It is also once again kind of showing Chris's point a little bit. That's funny. It's just like there were 12 of these guys and you lost and they died. Like, how the hell did that happen? I guess the fuse used to be really powerful and they just kind of all suck now. Guess that would make sense. Because like how did they I mean I know they always won, so whatever, but still like most of them died every time. Just like, yeah. I guess the fuse used to be better.
Eh, all right, y'all ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 111, The Flag of Rebellion. We go back to Seth flashback 9 years ago. We start off with Lumo, who is from Seth's hometown. He used to be with him. It wasn't he was the one that he rescued from the invaders, right? Or he was one of those that was with him, right?
I think he was one of them that was with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not convinced that Seth is telling the truth and wants proof. Um, and he admits that Posen appeared like the day before and named Seth a delusional heretic. So that doesn't really help Seth's cause. Lumo then like Seth's like, oh yeah, I hear a voice inside my head. And Lumo's like, you you hear a voice inside your head? He's like, yeah, it's telling me all this stuff. It's like, oh,
It's the reason I keep killing people. Oh.
okay. Um,
Could you imagine if like I just said that to you one day? Like I was just like, Brandon, you need to hear me out. Okay, the voice is telling me like I could trust you. The voice it's the reason I go kill people. You'd just be like, "Oh, okay, Chris."
Yeah, I'll be like, all right.
911.
Then the army, an army comes through an Elf's Gate, and they have the banners of all the other monasteries. And Seth tells Lumo, "All right, well, you'll just have to watch them slaughter me then." Uh, then we skip to the battle, and Seth is watching his troops battle the other troops. And since he didn't join in, the other honor bearers didn't join in, so it's just troops versus troops. Um, Lumo shows up with the Stoneward shamans. Is like, "I am here to help you, Seth. We realized we're in the wrong." And then Seth fights Moss, and then he fights Sevi, then turns around and realizes that Lumo has turned on Seth's troops, and it was all a ploy anyway. So Natura shows up and find out that he was offered the position of the bondsmith honor bearer by Posen and Civi, and he took it up. So they kind of bribed him to be on his side. And this is where Natura tells him, no, the voice was not an unmade Seth. And so then Seth's like, well, I don't know. So, Father, you tell me what to do, and I will do it.
Yeah.
So the other honor bearers, they knew what they were doing in recruiting Seth's father.
Yeah, do you think they bribed him as much as just let him? I feel like his dad was searching for answers and stuff. I think they just kind of let him guided him there, if that makes sense. I don't think it was much of a bribe as much as a
Well, yeah, but
because
we also know, like, we don't know the details, but the bondsmith honor blade is chosen, the honor bearer for the bondsmith is
yeah,
chosen in a completely different manner than every other.
yeah. But I'm saying like he's what was it called? The High Secretary or whatnot? Or the Grand Senator. Sorry.
Yeah,
Like but it's already established that his dad is some masterful like administrator, dude. Like he just walks up in there and Borgs it, it's just like I'm gonna run this thing good now. So it's not like it would make sense that barring anything reason not to do it, his dad would progress there anyway, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
they're just like, oh, well, they're not as much bribing him as it's just allowing him to progress there.
And
I,
also
That makes sense.
knowing now, like, so I don't think they knew that um, Ishar had taken up the power in Odium's well,
Oh no, that would have been a no-no.
but but they know that it's Ishar. Like
Yeah.
they know the voice is Ishar, so it makes sense that they trust it. And like so they're like, oh no, it's Ishar. We can trust it because it's Ishar. Like he's a herald, right? Whereas whereas Seth is like, I don't trust what he's telling me to do. Like what he's telling me to do, like I didn't know it was Ishar to begin with, but what that voice was telling me to do didn't sound right. It did not sound kosher.
Yeah.
Like, but now y'all are going to tell me, oh, that was the voice of a herald? Uh, okay, well, I guess I was mistaken. Like I'm wrong. I can't trust my own judgment at this point. So
I
kind
kind
of
of I kind of figured all it was all Ishar's plan to just to forge Seth into what he is today. So that's why he got the father. So he knew the father was gonna then exile it, not wanting to kill him. So then they could get him exiled and do the whole jazz. But
right.
The voice wanted them to fight a little bit. Actually, have Civil War.
Oh yeah, I mean
Like, he wanted it.
there's definitely evidence of like influence from the power of Odium in this.
Oh yeah, like he wasn't setting Seth up as much as just like I kind of do want them to fight. Like let a winner come out. I'll talk with the winner.
But also, it could totally still be like that back and forth in Ishar, like again Ishar versus the influence of the power, and like
Yeah,
Ishar, like no, I need him to do this, but then the power is like, oh, but I want him to fight. And he's like, no, I need him to do this. Oh, but I want him to fight. Um, so, but we also don't know when he took it. I guess he did take it up before because that's when he took the power is when he touched the land and became a god in Shinovar.
yeah.
So that's when he became the voice. So he was able to speak as the voice of the stone in Shinovar. So all right, chapter 112.
Yeah.
We got
Chapter 112.
Song of Renunciation. We got a little bit of Yasna and we got a little bit of Inli. So Yasna, Taravangian says that he and Yasna both hold to the philosophy of doing the most good for the most people. He points out that Dalinar's covenant only ensures peace between Odium's kingdoms and the kingdoms of humankind, but not necessarily between the kingdoms of humankind. He promises Fen that he can ensure peace among his kingdoms for the 1,000-year uh, quietness on Roshar before he's allowed to leave or whatever. And but Finn's like, no, my grandchildren will uphold the protection in the city. Um, and Taravangian's like, I'm going to destroy this city. And then it cuts over to Vinley. And Vinley and Thude are riding chasm fiends, and they'll be sent in by L. But L's like, no, no, I want them to fight and kill each other more before we send y'all into there. Um, and I want to kill some like she gets the sense that he wants to kill more Radiant Spren um, before they took over. Uh, and I wrote this note, and like I don't think it's the same outcome that will happen, but yeah, I didn't mention it last week. My thought last week was the plan that they were going to come up with, like what was going to happen at the Shattered Plains was that uh Vinley, the option, like Vinley offered a lie of supporting L and with her gang of listeners, and they're like, no, no, yeah, we'll stay here and protect the Rock Prime. Like as long as we're here, you have the Rock Prime, so you can go off and fight the Radiants off of it, and then the battle ends, and like Vinley and people who are part of the coalition are standing there like,
Yeah.
we have it. But it makes sense that some legal precedent would have had to be done to establish that Vinley wasn't just a traitor to Odium, but was like ally.
Actively working with the
Yeah,
humans.
was allied with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a precedent because all those other countries have gone over to Odium, so it makes sense it could be the reverse. Wouldn't break any legalese.
yeah. All right. Next chapter, which
Next chapter.
Yeah, I figure we can talk about all the Yasna stuff once it's completely done.
yeah,
That's kind of what I would like to do, talk about the Yasna argument as a whole after.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. The so chapter 113, accommodation, which is misspelled. Um, accommodation has two M's, but
Battle Roshar.
not.
Roshar doesn't, yeah, it's 5 days of the week, and accommodation is one
Oh,
M.
yeah.
There's a bunch of crabs. Other than that, it's just like Earth.
Yeah. So many crabs, just like
Lots of crabs.
STIs everywhere. Um, all right, so back to Tanavast, and we've now jumped. I don't remember how many years at this point, but we're at 7,050 years ago. So I don't know the jump between last one and this one, but
Like 50 years. It's not much.
oh, it was 7,100 to 7,050. Okay.
Yeah.
So Cora Vellium has returned. She was investigating the death of Uli Da, who was the vessel for Ambition. And she discovered that Rays caused Aona and Sky to fight each other. Then he went and finished them when they were weak. Aona and Sky, by the way, are the shards that were on Cell, which is the planet that is in Elantris.
Okay.
So, um, I don't, and even though I read Elantris, I don't remember the ending, and I haven't gotten to big reveals yet there. Um, but it's fun. It's a fun read. They got some cool characters in there, a lot of political intrigue and religious um, stuff going on. Uh, so she returns with that information. Then her and Tanavas go to confront Reyes to find that he has found a following with the singers who wandered aimlessly while Tanavas was busy on Ashen. Um, and so he lost some of his own people. When they attack Reyes, they see a vision of the future where Roshar is burned and riddled with earthquakes, which is interesting because Roshar doesn't have any tectonics. Like it's been mentioned several times that Roshar has
Yeah.
no tectonics. So how are they going to have earthquakes? Um, they all three of them decide to share the system together and place limits on the power that they grant mortals. And then the power of honor blankets the three vessels, and the tones of rays begin to permeate Roshar. So the power of honor basically holds the three shards, the powers in the vessels, to an agreement. And then race becomes a part of like connected to
Yeah.
Roshar at this point.
A tone of odium enters.
Yes, so there's three sounds, but there's really four. Whatever that one is. But anyway, uh, but yeah, we do realize now that
The fourth one is Morgoth. He's playing Discord.
ah, My Little Pony. Hey, that's another you could tie in My Little Pony as another reference to was it John Delancey? Discord? Didn't he voice Discord?
Um,
No idea.
I have no idea, man.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
I know very little about
Yeah, yes, he did voice Discord in My Little Pony.
There you go. The more you know.
Friendship is magic. Um, no, I just remember at our bachelor party, at my bachelor party weekend when we
while
were.
watching My Little Pony, right?
Yes, we spent the
Yeah.
entire weekend for my bachelor party watching My Little Pony. Um, in like Speedos and stuff. No, it was at Comic-Con and John Delancey was there and he was somebody asked him a question. It was like he was on a panel and somebody asked him a question about actually several people asked several questions about My Little Pony because there was a whole slew of bronies that were there. Uh anyway, so off topic here. Uh
Yeah.
thought about this chapter. So one of the agreements they did was they wouldn't give unbounded powers um, to humans, but we know that he ended up doing that. Um,
With who?
the heralds.
He
Well,
gave them a
it's because
little
he.
more.
No, it's because he died, right? That's why they're able to use it.
No,
Didn't
later
they
on,
say that?
one of the other chapters later on, he talks about how he gave them he kind of removed their bounds, and that's why he was like winning, but the power of honor was crying because of how much destruction was going on. But um anyway, all right, chapter 114, the greatest good. We got a little bit of Yasna again and a little bit of Navani. So with Yasna, Taravangian lays out his 4 points of why Finn should join. He says he will spare Thaylen City, or actually Thaylen, not just Thaylen City, but the entire country of Thaylen, if Finn joins him. Uh, he controls every major seaport on Roshar, so if she doesn't, then they'll be kind of their only allies will be landlocked, and so they won't be able to trade. He can keep her people safe. He will give her contractual say in management of his empire. And then Taravangian kind of reaches into his bag of tricks and pulls out the fact we hadn't seen since book one, where Taravangian, or sorry, Yasna murdered some dangerous men in Carbroth because it was for the greater good, even though she enticed them to attack her, so she could kill them. And then finally, he brings up the assassination contract of her hiring Lessie to kill Asudan, uh, even though she didn't actually pull the trigger on that contract. Um, then we move to Navani, who has returned to Urthur with Gav. She gives him to the nursemaid. Then in her room, she walks in on Lift. At first thinks that she's a fused, but then is like, oh right, no, okay, that's Lift. And then Walt Whit walks in. Walt Whitman walks in. Whit walks in.
Quick
And
walks.
Navani starts to cry. And then Whit says, I think I know a way to help Dalinar.
Yeah. Find out that
Nothing.
Lift. We find out that Lift didn't moon anybody though.
She
So
did
that's
not
good.
loon anybody.
Yeah, she did not moon anyone.
Yeah, so nobody except for Dalinar and Gavilar at this point know what Navani's ass looks like.
Yep. Um.
But Lift knows what Dalinar's ass looks like. She
True.
Yeah.
stares at that thing in those tight pants the whole time.
Yeah.
But he's too old for her.
I mean, if we're gonna keep the entire thing in one thing, I think we can move on. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
um,
As far as the Navani stuff, I mean, it's funny. I wish we would have gotten more with Lift and Wit being Delinar and
see,
Navani, but
we
see
do
that
learn.
that's a novella I would read.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah,
hints
I
of
would
other
read that.
novellas, but
We do learn though that like the majority of the populace didn't know
don't know.
that Navani was
Yeah.
not there. All of the people, like the higher ups, the officers, they like, oh yeah, this is not. We'll just kind of
Yeah.
hide her, not let her talk
which
to anybody.
I don't believe because like any servant would be able to tell that's not Navani. Like somebody's bringing her food, unless it's like generals bringing her food. So a lot of people probably know. But yeah, maybe
I
the
could also be
rumor.
dropping off food at like a door and
Yeah, maybe.
they bringing it in like our personal.
But then like, why do the deception in the first place?
Because
I
it's
guess.
fun and it makes for a fun novella that he's gonna write.
Yeah,
Just
I get it, but it's like they must have paraded her in public for her
They
to
said
for
they
her.
did.
yeah,
Yeah,
they said they let her walk around so people could see her.
yeah,
I mean, obviously, because if nobody sees her for 8 days, then yeah, they're gonna be like, well, where is the queen?
yeah.
So
So somehow she was able to control herself in public.
Yeah,
enough.
good old
Eh,
Liv.
yeah, good live. It's the last time we'll see her.
No, we're gonna see her again. Chapter 115, Binding. All right, we jump another 50 years. Um, Tanavas is creating stuff with Core while Reyes builds armies. Um, she doesn't trust, or sure, she doesn't want Tanavas to get involved in anything. He reaches out to other shards for help, and none of them do. So he returns to Roshar and decides to create the Heralds by giving the largest part of himself. We learn a lot more names of both vessels and shards. So like got some cool ones like Eurydius, who's the shard of reason, and find out he's vanished. Nobody knows where he is. Um, we do learn that AT, who was the vessel for Ruin, was considered a hero and
Yeah.
was considered one of the best of everybody of all the 16. Um, and so like we if you've read Mistborn, you know the outcome of him. Let's see. Bava Din is the name of autonomy, which is an interesting one. Uh, he autonomy shows up in some other books. Um, Chan Ko Sar is invention, like the shard of invention. That's a cool. Like so, some of these, I'm like, okay, invention is a shard. Oh, okay, that's
I
cool.
mean, innovation.
Uh,
That's invention.
it's
I
invention.
know.
Yeah, that's not. You make more sense as innovation, but
I know, but I would see it as innovation. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Like I would see it playing out like an innovation.
We learn Valor, the dragon god Metalantorius. Um,
So there's only 16 parts, and there is a valor and an honor.
yeah. There's mercy, love, endowment.
There was ruin
There's
and there's
whimsy.
angry passion.
there's wit.
There's whimsy.
Oh,
There's one whimsy. Mercy.
I
Uh,
think Whimsy would be like the hardest one to fight because you would go there to start to fight it, and then just random weird stuff would be happening, and you're like, "Oh God, I'm just off track and unfocused." Like you couldn't fight that. You would just be constantly unfocused doing weird shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we know
Uh,
what?
yeah,
Why don't they all just gang together and kill Odium? Like I don't really get it.
because they made an agreement not to interfere with each other.
Yeah, but they could break agreements.
Well, the power is going to seek a vessel, and
Yeah,
so like
Killing Rays doesn't solve Odium.
right.
but I
But
mean,
nobody.
you could just lock it in the spiritual realm, like honor, right?
Well, nobody else has that. None of the other shards have that sense of like the intent of the shard of Odium, which like Odium wants to destroy things. None of the others really want to destroy anything.
Yeah, but
So they're not going to.
he's killed like
More
three of
sense to
them,
go back to
right?
him.
I don't know. Just seems like they'd be like, all right, yeah, let's just kill Race.
Oh no,
Kill
I mean I
the
agree.
vessels.
Like after like the second one, you're like, okay,
Yeah, he's already killed three of them. Yeah, well, four now with
appeasement doesn't
Tanavas.
work. It's been proven in one World War.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean,
no, I don't disagree, but I think the in-world explanation is the intent of the shards.
yeah, I mean,
Like maybe
yeah,
Ruin would, but Ruin would also
but I mean, like,
side like
what
Ruin
was?
would destroy things, but Ruin would also see Odium's destruction, like the after effects of what Odium is doing is like, oh yeah, I really like that. I want that to continue happening.
Ooh,
And
Ashen? Ooh, this is a cool world.
Yeah, full of ash and ruin.
Yeah, let me set up shop here.
yeah,
Actually, Ruin should just move to Ashen. It would have been great.
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
All right, chapter 116, Two Women. Back to Yasna.
And this is the last chapter on their negotiations.
Okay. And so this is basically the full, like, this is straight up courtroom chapter. Uh, she defends herself on having a contract for Aesudan's assassination, but never acting on it. Said, yeah, sure I did, but it was an option. Like, of course, Teravinci like, well, have you ever thought about killing Finn? Finn's like, have you? He's like, well, yeah, maybe. Uh, then he steers Yasna into admitting that she cannot see the future like Odium can, so she can't seek the greater good as well as he can because, but she doesn't like fall for speaking into that trap. Uh, she points out that Odium would use Roshar's machine to pump out soldiers to conquer the Cosmere. Finn agrees that it would be a betrayal of honor and Roshar to side with Odium. Yasna is scared because Odium is the only one she has met that seems to have the ability to defeat her, and it's doubly crazy because he's a god and she's like not really super religious. And then that's when Taravangian tries to entice her with jihad on other shards. She's like, "You could join me, and we can destroy the other things." Um, and then she got caught in saying she would do whatever it takes, regardless of the cost, to save Roshar. At which point, Odium is like, "Okay, so first you would do anything to save your family at the cost of anything else, then your kingdom at the cost of anything else, Roshar at the cost of anything else." And so she, Teravangian is like, "So you would give up Thelena if it meant that you saved your family?" And she's
Well,
like, that's what he insinuates. And so
yeah, it's anyway,
he
he said
asks,
Roshar. Like, would you sacrifice Thana to save Roshar?
oh yeah, that would make more
Which,
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. At which point he asks Yasna, what is best for Thelena? And of course the answer is to side with Odium,
all right.
which Finn joins them.
Yeah. And
I
she's really sad for some reason.
Finn is or Yasna?
Yasna's. It's like destroys her. That's like, yeah, kind of what you believe. So, but what you got stuff, Chris?
I did not care for this at all. I actually like the idea of a battle of wits because that's Yasna's thing. So defeating Yasna in a battle of wits, that shows Teravangian. Teravangian's a character that has that expanded mind. And now that he's a god, he has expanded, even further with his knowledge of the future. And it makes sense. And everything about it makes sense, but the way it's presented, I forgot the terminology. I tried looking it up and I had it written down in my notes, but I can't find my notes because they're on the paper. Anyway, the argument becomes not what should they decide, why should they side with Taravangian, anything like that. It is all about Yasna and Yasna. And like it's not just a character attack, but it's like Taravangian has a history of backstabbing and finding loopholes in deals, stuff like that. The god Odium does not have a very good track record. Like the
He
fact
did.
that that wasn't discussed, but the fact that it's like, oh, you might have looked into how hard it was to eliminate a political rival. Oh, that's so. Oh, it's like,
Well, he
no,
does. He
it's not
does
like
say
that.
he's now bound by rules, which is
I
more
know he's
than
bound by
what
rules.
mortals have. So it makes sense.
But like the fact that the argument was just straight up like, oh, Yasna, you really believe in the greater good? I'm gonna prove you a hypocrite, and because I can prove you're a hypocrite, she's gonna sign with me. It's like, well, what? Why would she still sign with you? No, like
I don't think
this is
she's.
not gonna end good for Thanos. Like he
I
does not have
also
a track record.
I also don't think Finn is fully. I think Finn for some reason has some ulterior
Yeah.
motive.
Also, he doesn't prove her a hypocrite. It's what she believes. That's which is why I don't
Well, no,
know
he proved her a
why
hypocrite because she says she believes in
Yasna
the greater
freaks out.
good,
She
but he's
does.
not. She doesn't believe in the greater good. She believes in doing what is good for her.
Yeah,
And mostly she wants to do the greater good, but she does have priorities
but
that are higher than the
she's
greater
always
good.
done that.
Yes, she's always
It,
done that because she's a fucking person. That's what all people do.
yeah, but I
Like,
mean that's why I don't get why she's upset about it. Because, but also like Queen Finn is. I agree with you that like the assassination stuff is dumb because Queen Finn has definitely murdered a lot of people. She's the queen of a major country. You kill lots of people when you're in charge of a major country.
and not that
S-
Yasna is known for being like this crazy, weird,
But
super
like
pragmatic
she
person.
has probably contingency plans to fuck over the coalitions. We have like contingency plans to invade Canada and Mexico. Like countries have contingency plans.
Yeah,
Like it's
Batman
not
had a way to kill every single person on the.
yeah, so like that doesn't make sense. The thing that makes sense is like if you could get bound to Odium
I like
and
that
have
Justin just gave state secrets away.
oh, we that's but
What does this look like? Signal?
yeah. But like his argument makes sense that if he's bound by laws and he can like write up a contract and give you like make Thalen and City like a really, really good deal, then
But
because honestly, if
he was
Odium wasn't
just he was
Odium,
just bound by contract and he found a loophole through it. The 10
sure.
days and he found a loophole. So I'm saying like he's smart. Like if I was in Finn's spot, I'd be like, this dude is insanely brilliant. He can see all the futures. I don't know if I could sign a contract in front of me that I don't know he doesn't already have a loophole built into it.
Sure, but
You know what I mean? And he can lie and say there's not one because I'm not a greater entity that he has to be bound to. You know what I mean? Like,
once he gives a promise or something, he's bound.
no, no, only to an entity as powerful as himself. Like only another powerful entity or the
Chris is
promise I'm bound.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like the fact that you would
He can make
listen to
promises to
him.
humans and break them. We've seen that with
Yeah.
Arbroth.
The fact that he
He didn't have
listens
a
at
he
all
didn't
is
have a
like
thing with
this is
Carbroth.
stupid.
No, he promised Carbroth that he would
He didn't promise Carbroth. Previous
Odium.
Odium did. That's a different entity. At least that's how I took it. That's why I was able to do it because he wasn't bound by the previous bearer's promises. That's how I took it. Maybe I'm wrong. That's how I took it though.
No, he totally is because he's. I mean, as far as we know, he's
Still
still
bound to the
bound
contract.
to the contract.
But didn't he sign the contract or something at the end of the last book?
Taravangian signed a contract with Odium stating that Odium would not.
No, he signed the like Contest of Champions or something, right?
Odium didn't. Actual Odium.
Raise, raise.
Great.
And like, but then he had to do stuff with wit. Like, I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
No, Race actually signed the contract
Yeah.
as the bearer of Odium. Race signed the contract for the Contest of Champions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt overall the arguments being like I love the idea that that's Yasna's battlefield. I like the opponent. I like the stakes, but I don't like the actual arguments that were used. because it just seemed weak. If it's to a point where it's like I feel like I could do just as good job arguing that. I'm not a smart person and I'm not very good at debating.
You know, unfortunately, Brandon
That's
Sanderson's not a god. So,
I know. I'm
but
just
yeah,
saying it's kind of
I
that's
think
the
it.
thing when you build characters that are supposed to be that level of intelligent and that level of like just wise and
I mean,
clever.
we
It
also
you
find
do
out
have to
later
be
it didn't
right.
matter. So it's also kind of that's also kind of a damper on things.
Hmm?
He- We find out later that this entire thing didn't matter.
Oh yeah, he had an assassination
Yeah,
plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, I found the arguments fine. Besides Queen Finn, for some reason being super naive as a leader of a country.
I was
Um,
oh my so horrible reading it. I was like,
um, I just don't understand why Yasna falls apart, but it's fine because like it's everything she said is like consistent with her character.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
she thought she was doing everything in total goodness. And then when she realized that she did place her own priorities ahead of the idea of the true goodness of the world, you know what I'm saying?
But she's been doing that
Yeah, it's
since
I
more
day
know.
one. It doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
no, but she believed that her the greater good or her goodness was altruistic, which I think Odium Point made her realize it was not.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's somewhat altruistic, keeping the kingdom together and stuff.
She's not working
But
against it. She does place priorities. She
yeah,
will
but
sacrifice.
she knows that. That's my thing. She knows that.
I don't.
She's literally like a heretic. Had a bunch of hits out on people. A bunch of hits out on people.
Yeah.
Like she was doing all sorts of shady stuff to like keep the kingdom together. She and Wit did that entire thing to like make that High Lord
Yeah.
disappear. Like she's not a she has some shadiness in her. I I don't I think she knows that, so that's why it's a little weird. She like
I don't think it's the fact that it's that he points out, it's like, oh, look at this shady shit you done. It's, oh, look at this shady shit you done. This isn't for the greater good. You might have told yourself it is, but this is to protect your family. And protecting your family probably isn't the greater good, is it? You know, something like that. Where it's like
I just
you're doing actions that aren't necessarily for the greater good.
yeah.
Even though, I don't know, the argument with like, oh, would you sacrifice Thana to save Roshar? It's like, I'm gonna say, yeah, just like the same thing if Queen Finn had an option of sacrificing
Alec,
Alethkar to save the rest of Roshar, yeah, she'd probably take it. If she didn't, I would judge the shit. I was like, why wouldn't
Yeah.
like
It's more the argument works for me is more the fact that like sure he could break his word. There are some divine protections, no matter how foible they could be. They are set in place for 1,000 years. We know how volatile humans
it's
are.
gonna break even before then. Like,
Well, we don't. She doesn't know that. She has to take a chance between humans and a god. The Alethi, who have history of warfare and stuff. How much is Dalinar's reign gonna change? Like there's a lot of factors. Like all that shit makes sense. Plus all the wealth and stuff of a new giant kingdom, and if she can run it, like there's a lot of altruistic or not. There's a lot of power in there.
there's a lot
Like
of
it just
power in
works.
there.
That is a better argument than like, oh, Yasna had an
Yeah, yeah.
assassin.
I'd actually go with that. If they would have argued the actual pros, like you were just doing, and saying how like you will be protected because of these guidelines and how you would also have this, but your alternate would be living in a world
Yeah,
with no trading partners, which they
yeah,
mention it in
mentioned, and
passing, but
and she
that's not what
does,
you
yeah, she does
that's what he
get
should.
she does get none of her soldiers, none of her people will be soldiers for like 1,000 years, so they do get a lot of stuff out of it. But yeah, could have maybe been handled a little bit better. But I
The
enjoyed it.
argument. The argument just seems so. We're gonna character assassinate Yasna, and
I don't know.
they'll try to,
She was
and they.
always like this though.
I don't know.
Like
I felt it could have been.
Book one Yasna is like such a cold-hearted bitch,
Yeah, she
and
is.
she's awesome. Like she does just go murder a bunch of people, and it's really cool. And like she's
Like,
has no qualms of killing whoever is in her way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right. Y'all want to move on?
yeah,
we can move
So-
on.
Chapter 117, Truthless. 9 years ago, flashback, Seth. The honor bears once again. Seth finds himself outside of a room with people discussing his fate. Civi is the only one to point out the voice wanted the Civil War to continue, which is suspicious, like Chris was pointing out earlier. She should have spoken up earlier. The voice begins to talk to Seth again and says that the land will need armies and generals to lead, and says for him to do as he's told, and then the voice will return in a decade. The honor bearers declare that there never will be Voidbringers, and Seth demands that they make a choice for him. Either he was right and he needs to kill all the honor bearers, including his father, or that he was wrong and must be named Truthless. They name him Truthless and command him to follow the way of the Oathstone. Their voice comes in and says, "Oh, hey, look, he gets to keep that blade." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then he was eventually sold to a Thaylen man and described and was commanded never to question. Yeah. And decided never to question again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Risen's Babs.
Risen's
Yeah.
Babs. So Vistil?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the person they sold him to.
yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the idea of Seth just being like, look, y'all either have to name me truthless, meaning what I saw was a lie, because if you don't name it a lie, I'm gonna say it's the truth, and then I have to kill you all. Like that is just an insane person
That's
there.
logical, right?
It's logical, but you're also imagine just seeing someone say that kind of thing where you're just like, okay, this person is begging to go into a life of servitude so he doesn't kill everybody here because the voice is telling him to kill everybody here. Oh my God. You know? Like this is a dangerous person.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, there is no magic in the Oathstone, right?
I still don't think there is, but I mean, it still could be because of Ishar, but
I I am weirdly now on the boat that there needs to be magic on it, just because it sounds like that other people have been named Truthless. And I can't imagine anyone else in the Shin Empire being as, I'm gonna follow the rules and say yes, sir, because they told me to say yes, sir. As
so
much as Seth.
let's think about it. It's a stone that comes from Shinovar, and we know that Ishar is the bondsmith herald, and he took up power of Odium and
Oh no,
connected himself to the land of Shinovar. And
it makes sense, but until they say it,
and he was commanded to follow the way of the Oathstone. So
Yeah, but like when he takes it, there's no like I feel the oaths infuse my body or whatever.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think it's
That's-
magic.
I wish it
I
was.
think it should be.
It makes sense in the lore why it should be magical, but also at the same time, Seth doesn't need it to be magical for him to still listen.
right. It
But
could go either way.
I hope it's magical.
I hope it is too.
I do too. 118 Prophecy. We get some Vinley, we get some Shallan, and we get some Sigzil. Vinley is riding Thundercloud into the walls, destroying them. Humans pretending to fight back, and causing them to flee. Then Thundercloud is confused why he can't eat humans, but then they lay out some human corpses for him to eat, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And then human forces flee through the Oath Gate back to Uruthira.
Yeah.
Shallan is lost in the chaos of the spiritual realm. Odium's attention is no longer on her. She thinks on being the daughter of a herald, and if that assists her attachment to the spiritual realm that Kalak said she has. And then she enters into a village, a vision, where she is on a beach, and there's a Thaylen man she spots sitting on the largest great shell she's ever seen. And it's Mraize. He's just on this giant great shell.
Yeah.
Go back to Sigil. I got sorry, autocorrect changed a word. It's because Sigil sounds the regret. Sounds the retreat. Uh, Dami, the Stormwall, questions if he's doing it for the right reasons, but then Sigil's like, well, like who should you follow? He's like, you, because you were put in charge. He's like, okay. Before Sigil can make it to the Oath Gate, his powers fail and he falls to the ground and he's paralyzed from the waist down. Of course, Moash has shown up and cuts Vianta with the Antlight knife. But before Moash can kill her, Sigil renounces his oaths, which saves her from dying, but turns her into a Deadeye, supposedly. Oh, maybe. And then Lopin shows up. He destroys the Fabrial. Bridge 4 shows up, and Moash runs off. And they get through the Oath Gate, and Sigil is healed by an Edge Dancer. I think, forget who it was, but one of them gave a gemstone, a Stormlight Stone to Sigil. Was like, here you go, sir, heal yourself. He's like, I can't.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone like that.
He
Yeah,
also,
Star.
he also didn't feel the emotions of the bond breaking until the Fabrial was destroyed,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Then we go to Vinley, and she retrieves a package with papers that Sigil left her. Um, and they are important for day 10. So that's the legalese. Vinley continues to wonder what powers Elle has. Um, she's like, oh, that's a weird fused.
Yeah.
Excuse me. She convinces Thundercloud and the other Castlefins to plop down on the plateau, and their trap is set to spring tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, Moash is hilariously stealthy. He just kind of pops out of nowhere.
It's an invisibility
Yeah.
Fabrial. You didn't know
Yeah.
that? He has Harry Potter's invisibility cloak. The thing is so big.
Yeah. I guess we'll save this for theories. I have no idea what's gonna happen with Moash. Dayton. He has to die Dayton, right? Or maybe Kaladin will play a flute and he'll like magically get better or something weird. Like, but he
I
has
don't
to.
think
He has to
there.
die.
I don't think there's redemption for Moash.
No.
But like, who's gonna kill him? Is it gonna be like Sigil gets his spren back and kills him? Is it gonna be like, is he gonna? Well, he's probably just gonna be not dead. I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing with Moash. Like, Vinley kills him, and
I don't know. He's
Maybe he ends up
such
like
a
Skylar
minor.
from Heroes.
I don't know.
I don't know what happens to it.
Man,
Oh, come on, guys.
dude, Heroes was like 2008 or some shit.
Yeah. I've only seen the first season.
I watched them all.
I mean, it was fun up until the circus season. It's not that great.
I thought the circus season had its charm.
Yeah, it was the beginning and the end, though.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
You ready for the best part?
Sunmaker's Gambits. We get a little bit of Adolin, Shallan, and Kaladin. All right. Adolin is learning to walk on his stump without crutches. He's gets the word that Shattered Plains has fallen, but Navani is back in the tower. He gets beat by Gox in a one-on-one non-handicapped towers game. May Aladar joins them for a three-way game, and Yanagon shows his strength at the beginning, but then gets beat. And
It's my first three-way
yeah,
game.
he's like, "Well, I was the strongest." It's like, no, no, no. Me and May Aladar together were the strongest one. That's totally the same plot that happened in Well of Ascension.
Mhm.
I was just thinking that Sanderson plays a lot of magic, and this is such an EDH magic thing where the most powerful person then makes the enemies of the rest, and then you get
Yeah,
screwed over.
don't shoot out in front of everybody else right at the beginning unless you're gonna win.
Yeah.
Um, so he teaches the rules change when there's a third force. And the horns sound for all men on deck. Gox wants to fight, but Adolin's like, "Hey, you're not a soldier, and there's no sense in sending you to die." We cut to Shallan. She figures out she was pulled into this vision by Mraize's Spren, so there's no need to disguise herself. It would just look silly. He's sitting on a dead great shell, which is a memory of his past. Um, he's telling Shallan a sad story about how Iyadol will make him wait 10 years, which is coincidentally the gap between books 5 and 6, to take him off world. He was made promises to be brought off world if he recruited a Radiant into the Ghostbloods. Shallan realizes that she should let Odium put her into visions so that Mishram can influence them and she can learn where she is. We switch over to Kaladin and we get Nail starts to feel like the man he used to be and yearns to be that way again. He gives the sword to Seth. Says, "Keep this until I am better." And this is where he reveals that the voice is Ishar. So Seth didn't know that until now. And that he took a fraction of Odium's power from the well and connected himself to Shinovar and became a god to him. Mishram also found Odium's well in the past and used it to connect to the singers. That is what gave Ishar the idea to do that. Nail then names Ishar Truthless. Seth will face Ishar in the morning, and new songs from the Shattered Plains / the past sing back to Kaladin, and he realized that he has been reforged and that it's possible for others to be reforged as well. Whenever in this scene with Adolin and Gox playing, it hit me at this point. It reminded me of Ender's Game with Mazer and Ender. Just like Mazer teaching Ender all these like moves and all this strategy. Obviously, Towers is not an actual like representation of what's going
Yeah,
on
it's not
in
the actual.
Warshar.
Yeah.
But the relationship between the two reminded me of Mazer and Ender. And then just some fun things that like Mraize was describing worlds that what he learned about. Like the world with an ocean in the sky sounds fun. I don't know. I can't think of one that has an ocean in the sky. One where people fly upon kites as if every man were a windrunner. I mean, I don't know kites, but there's definitely like the Mistborn that fly through the air with their capes.
Yeah, I feel like there is one with kites, but I haven't read it.
I haven't. I've read everything, and I haven't got
Hmm.
anything with kites in it.
Well, then there you go.
And then the last one he described was the gods can make any object stand up and walk. That's totally Nalthus, like
Yeah, it is.
Warbreaker stuff. What are you doing to the cat, Justin?
Giving her food. She's being annoying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Got anything for this one?
No, I got my main stuff first. The next stuff with Aelin because it's real dumb.
Okay. And of course, we could go through it and then talk about Adel and stuff at the end, because
Oh,
just
yeah.
like we did with Yasna, if you want.
And it's more like he would be like instantly dead. Like it's kind of ridiculous. Like it's I know he's like
Unless
really I know he's really good, but he lost a leg yesterday. He would not be able to be in a shield wall. Like he'd be instantly dead.
Radiant Healing.
No, he still has a peg leg.
Fortune.
Radiant Healing.
Fortune with a capital F, just like Wit has.
He's a
Maybe.
duelist.
Yeah, he's a duelist.
Like,
Like, it was
I know
just
what you're
kind of
saying,
dumb.
but
It was just kind of dumb. Like it was a cool scene if he still had his leg and he was like, manning it and stuff. But he's on a peg leg and a shield wall. He'd be so dead. Like on the front lines for like hours.
I don't think he was there for hours. I think they were there for like maybe an hour.
He rotates back like at least maybe an hour, so it make hour
Yeah,
or
because
two.
every
But
day, like every 15 minutes, and then it's like,
Every
oh, there's no
15 minutes.
rotating free break. Like
yeah, but like
I
he'd
think
be
it
break,
might have been
break.
like 2, 3 hours, maybe.
It
yeah, maybe.
maybe, but it goes fast.
Yeah.
Like he'd be so dead. Um, but yeah, it's fine. It's just kind of it strained my suspension of disbelief a little bit. Like they just didn't need him to do that. It was a cool scene if they just didn't have him lose his leg, or if like he didn't lose his leg but got injured in the leg, so he's like limping, but he has like a peg leg. He'd be
Yeah.
so dead. But other than that, like I like the tower stuff. We haven't really gone over the epigraphs, but there's like tower tactics. There's nothing
Yeah,
really to it.
Zadaz's rules or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, that's kind of
Um,
what I have on this.
I
The Marie
like
stuff.
that. I
Yeah,
like that several of them said, again, not an adage for real life.
yeah. Um, the Marie stuff is fine. If he dies this book, I think it's a little too late for it. But
I don't think he's going to die. Like,
yeah, I also don't really
we're,
care about Maurice that much. He's the less interesting of the two. Like I think Iyadol is so much more interesting than him.
well, yeah, but I think so. I think Yaddle has her own like nefarious
Well, yes,
lives, and
which
Maraise
which we
isn't.
don't know anything about.
Yeah,
And it's super
so
annoying.
we hopefully should find out Yaddle and Maraise. But I think what's going to happen is Maraise is going to end up killing Yaddle, and because I think Yaddle is probably not um, an ideal representation of what the Ghost Bloods want. I think her own personal motives actually go against. I feel like her own personal motives are going to go against the Ghost Bloods, but she's using the Ghost Bloods.
Ghost Bloods are pretty evil, so I don't know.
Nah, I don't think they're exactly evil, but
So
uh,
far they are.
yeah. But
Yeah, I don't know. Marie's is fine.
yeah, I mean, it was a fun little thing. All right, chapter 120, Sheltered from the Eyes of God. So we skip ahead. Let's see, how many? There's
Like 2,500 years.
yeah,
2,450, I think.
yeah. So it's 4,550 years ago. It's almost the time of the what Ahariatum, um,
Yeah.
or was it the Recreants?
The Harryettum happens before the Requiem.
Harietium is when they hang up the swords, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which will be the next one.
All right. Yeah. So war has been happening for 2,500 years. Neither Odium or Honor could leave Roshar until one had complete rule of it. The heralds were able to draw more and more powers of Roshar itself. So not Honor, but Roshar itself. Braze, we learn, has the ability to trap souls on it, and Tenavast named it after Raze, and he thought himself clever because of that. Whenever Tenavast attacks Raze, it destroys the capital city of Notnotten, creating not just the Shattered Plains, but anti-light. Um, which the anti-light is described as making like destroying the entire land and melting, and that's why they found the pieces of the fourth moon under the city. It was made of metal. It was not aluminum, but it hid things from gods, and it revealed a new people living there, which they call the Watchers.
Yeah.
Um, do you think those are the Sleepless?
That's what
Um,
my mind went to.
I guess. I mean, there's watching for the Highlanders to come.
Then Reyes left when Tanavas refused to continue fighting. Mishram remained on the planet, and then Ba-Edo Mishram asks if Tanavast would make peace with her if Reyes did not stop him from it. And he's like, oh yeah, I would. And then this is where Tanavast lets the heralds access his powers more fully to destroy more fused, to try to like kind of get an end and open the opportunity for Ba-Edo Mishram to make peace. Y'all got anything?
No, not really.
I mean, it's just another good lore dump. Like I said, like I really feel like this is the Sanderlanche of this book,
I hope not.
where it's just like,
I
all right, here's the story that
Be
that I've been
very
building up
disappointing
for forever.
I would be disappointed if it was.
because it's like I said, it's basically all stuff we already know. It's just like spelled out. It's
I
like,
know.
all right, I've like been teasing you for a while and basically telling you what's happening. This is what happened.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear it. It's nice to see it. I enjoy reading it. It's really weird because it's one of those
Yeah.
things where, like you said, like we know about it, so it's hard to talk about it because everybody kind of already knows.
Yeah.
So it's
I mean,
nice to get it down in
thing is,
paper.
there's like so much of a Sanderlanche in book 10, so, which is why this entire book is right on book 10. Because there's the Aelin stuff with Maya. That's definitely going to happen the next day. They're going to like save Azmir or whatever. There's like Dalinar and the fight or whatever the hell that's going to be.
Or Shalon, whatever she does.
There's the Shallan, Bowden, Mishram. So Shallan, Renarin, Rlain, Ghostblood, Bowden, Mishram stuff, and how that interacts with the trial or whatever. There's there's Ishar and all of Kaladin's entire plot line,
Mhm.
and that's so there's like 1,000
There's
things.
Vinley in the plains. There's Moash. There's
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that
yeah.
this book has to
There's
wrap up.
Lift, there's Baxel.
Oh yeah,
Oh, we
there's
ain't getting a
There's
back.
Demew.
We ain't getting a Baxel.
Demew, Galadon, and
We're definitely not getting to Demew.
Aeon.
There's a Risen in
Risen's
space
gone.
or Shadesmar. Yeah, so I mean, this is weirdly enough, this is like the latest the Sanderlanche has ever happened because literally the last little bit of it. Because this is not the Sanderlanche. It's kind of just an info dump.
There's still almost 200 pages left in this book.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's move right along. 121 Bridger of Mines. We got Adolin, Shallan, Rlain, Renarin. Starting with Adolin, things are just getting worse and worse. Adolin and May are both sent to the Pike Wall. They're shifted with others in 15-minute increments. There's an officer that offers to not have Adolin go in on the next shift because it's the worst because it's the shield wall. But Adolin's like, nah, I gotta take my turn just like everybody else. Shallan lets herself go back into the visions. She sees herself kill her father, then Tin, so she sees herself killing like a lot of her mentors and such. She reminisced on how she let her personas bud into Veil and then Radiant. She also mentioned that there was a child one, um, which I think ended up being what a Formless became. Um, and then the visions moved to false ones of the future as Formless stood behind her. She saw herself killing Mraize, Wit, Yasna, etc. And then she just gets thrown out into chaos
Yeah.
at this point for whatever is going to come, whatever Bio Mishram is able to influence and let her see. Then we move on to Relane. He's seeing visions of singers before the wars. He loves seeing their art, culture, creations, and all that stuff. Mishram pulls him out and puts him on a battlefield. He hears another voice that says, "The Bridger of Minds, the one who is of both worlds, you can heal us." Relane is in a vision where Ado Mishram is granting forms of power. So she's and says that the other unmade support her in her role as God. Then Relane sees Tuathan, who is an ancestor, and walk away from Mishram and realizes that Mishram let him and the singers or listeners walk away, even though she could have easily destroyed them and she has many faults. She let them do that. She tells the Relane that she is angry and wants to break things and is like, I will probably kill you if I can. But maybe I'll just or Relane says perhaps he will just listen to her when he finds her. Then we jump to Renarin. He is in a vision of the first day he saw visions of the future. Gliss apologizes because he's like, I didn't know what this would do for you. He turns the chaos of the spiritual realm into stained glass windows. He finds a way to remove the darkness in the visions of the future, so he and Gliss see positive possibilities now. Gliss warns Renarin that both humans and singers listeners will hate Relane and oh my God. Relane and Renarin if they have a relationship.
Renee
And
on relationship.
he says that he has to take this step to change hearts and not change maps. He steps through a window and joins Relane and kisses him. Relane is hesitant to agree, asks if Renarin is sure. He asks if Relane will ever be the one to hurt him, and he says no. And then Renarin thinks he knows what Mishram is trying to tell them. Do you think you know what Mishram is trying
I
to?
do not. Something about them coming together, love each other.
Yeah, it's like probably really love conquers all or something like that.
They
Uh,
need to come together.
Yes.
Come with me now.
Relationships. Anything else? I think
Not really
Adolin
on
and
this one.
May Aladar are getting kind of close.
I know it sounds awful, but I'm
Yeah.
at a point where it's them bouncing around the spirit world. I'm like, I need some resolutions.
Yeah, I'm glad.
There's been 1,100 pages of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, like I think, depending on what happens, right? I think he should have done like a Kolinar in this book to have like the bottom Mishram or like the Ghostblood stuff be resolved, or the even the Azimir stuff be resolved earlier in the book to give it more balance. Because yeah, like the spiritual realm stuff has lasted like basically the entire book, which is kind of crazy. But I'm glad both Dalinar and Navani are out finally.
Yes, very much so. All right. Chapter 122, Rival. We 4,500 years ago, so we jumped 50 years again. Um, Good old Tanner finds a soldier weeping over a fallen comrade who's holding the Way of Kings. So he's reading about Kaladin's struggles running bridges and all this stuff. Ishar is admitting to being tired and exhausted. We get the information that it's been 400 years roughly since Tenavast and Kor were together. But to gods, that's like a blink of an eye. Uh, Tanavast agrees with Ishar to isolate Talanat and let him kind of take on most of that oath pact. He goes to Shinovar, lays in a field, attempting to talk to Adel Nauseam, but the wind speaks to him instead, saying it's all that's left. Then a few millennia pass. So this goes all the way to the Recreants, I think, or the betrayal of the Recreants, pretty much the Recreants. So this chapter spans 2,500 years, basically. So a few millennia pass, and Tanavast finds Melishi, the single bondsmith in the tower, and he asks for help. Um, he meets with Then he goes and meets with Odium on a mountaintop, and he realizes that his plan to let Ba Edo Mishram hold Odium wouldn't work. That the power would eventually force her to a confrontation. So, like, it doesn't matter who's holding this power.
Eventually it's gonna want
Yeah.
out.
So, Tanavast then suggests a battle of champions where the loser withdraws to a different world. Odium doesn't agree, but then he offers to make a deal to stop Ba Edo Mishram if Race agrees to no direct confrontation, no more increasing gifts, and they keep what they have. But if Tanavast attacks first, Race may then fight back. But Race cannot be the first one to attack.
Yeah.
He assures the Shard of Honor that this was the best course of action, and that Kor knows how to trap Spren, and Tanner will teach it to Melishi. Um, yeah, I really felt like this agreement is a lot like Yasna's defense against Taravangian with Finn.
In what way?
Um, just like I don't remember why I wrote that, but trying to think. I'm tired as hell right now too. I'm trying to think through this stuff. We're almost done though.
Yeah. So
It's like, why would you join? Because he's. Why did I write that? I cannot remember why.
mm,
Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
did
but
you guys something else?
no, it's just
I was gonna ask at the beginning of the chapter, he's like, "Oh, I was winning. How could I be happy with this? How can you not be horrified? It's getting worse, it's worse, but it's fine. The Heralds are doing great." So, like, Tanner's having a little battle with himself. I like to think that Tanner is the voice, is the part, the actual Tanner's voice is the, how can you be happy with this? This is awful. Well, Honor's like, I'm winning. Look, the Heralds are strong, you know? So Honor's like the force that's pushing him forward, while Tanner's the one that's looking for a way out to stop the violence. So that when he makes the agreement um with Race, that's Tanner more than Honor, and Honor's like, the fuck you doing, man?
Yeah.
No, no.
yeah. I don't know. The whole shard bearer thing is so nebulous. I wish it was a little bit more clear.
Hmm.
Yeah, it has the same problem that the Dark One had in real
Yeah.
time.
What?
Like, what is this? Like,
Yeah, like I think it's like the Odium stuff. So the Teravangian Odium stuff works better because we actually know Teravangian, we get POVs from him. But like the race Odium never worked for me because you didn't know him, so you never knew what was him or what was the shard and all that stuff. So it's very weird.
and
Like
I
if
think,
Dalinar becomes Honor, then we would be able to have some stuff about like what is him, what is Honor. You know, we could figure that out. But yeah,
and I think that was one point of these honor flashbacks is to kind of give that concept of who cultivation or who core and race were. So,
true.
all right, we'll move on to chapter 123, a memento of failure. We get a little bit of Adolin and Yasna. So Adolin rotates through the ranks. People are dying all around him. He decides to, on his break, lay and look at the sky. First, he thinks about why he hates Dalinar so much. Um, he's like, oh, he wrote Oathbringer, where he offered a different god than the Almighty, a god that was better. He's like, how dare he who killed my mother and did all these horrible things, how dare he offer this as an alternative? And he's also like, I feel like I'm like the only person in this entire world that's not insane. Oh. And then he starts thinking about Kaladin and he starts smiling. He's like, God damn it. You inspire me, bridge boy. And goes back to the shield wall.
Yeah.
Good
Like I
old,
said, I like the Adolin stuff if he didn't lose his leg. It's just so dumb. But other than that, it's all good stuff.
I really like the visuality of this one. Like reading this
yeah.
chapter, like, just close your eyes and see it happening.
Yeah. It's not
A different injury, I agree. I
yeah.
agree with you. Like there needed to be a different injury, one that wasn't so like, oh yeah, if you have
Yeah.
this injury, you're straight up dead right here.
Especially like a shield wall where you're gonna get being pushed. Like you're gonna lose balance and stuff. Like I can get over it. It's just you should have picked something else. And
Yeah.
even like losing an arm would have been fine because he maybe he's like having
He
to like
straps
do
a
a spear,
shield
yeah, straps a
somewhere.
shield somewhere. Yeah, it's just a leg is such a big deal. But other than that, I like all the alien stuff. I can get over it. It's just kind of funny to me.
Yeah. But I also feel like the fact that he got injured meant that he wasn't going to die.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, so we jump to Yasna. Teravangian appears. He reveals that he had Deepest Ones waiting, so he basically had a contingency plan. If Finn did not join, the Deepest Ones would appear in the safe room, kill all the people. The Fabrils that warned of the fuse were fake; they weren't real. And then he, knew where the hideout was, and they had somebody remove one of the panels of aluminum. Uh,
Aluminum.
he has four members of the Thalen Merchant Council and a backup plan. Just said that. At the end, the Thalen Central Council accepts Odium's offer, and it's ratified by Queen Finn. And Yasna receives a copy of the contract as a memento of her failure. And something I just thought of is Finn sent her a copy of that contract, and she's going to read it, and she's going to find something in it that's going to state that the contract was not.
Like a loophole.
Yes.
I can see that. She also gets something else. She gets a job offer
She
Oh,
does.
yes, she does.
which I think it'd be like if they're gonna have Odium like this like pyrrhic victory or something, or have to work, it would be kind of interesting for Yasuna to turn to Odium. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it would be
It'd
kind of
be
cool.
it would be really
Like
tight.
she basically becomes the new like Raboniel almost or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's
She becomes the
it's a
Sauron
trope
to his
that's been
Morgoth.
done. It's a trope that's been done before in certain things where it's like I join this side. I mean, not Navani, Nynaeve did it in Wheel of Time. I mean, not going to spoil any more of that, but like when she decided to go train as for to become an Aes Sedai, it was because she wanted to destroy that
Sure,
institute.
yeah,
Um, so
a little different, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it's a more interesting path for her than just becoming like the queen of Alethkar or something. I don't think it will happen, but wouldn't mind it if, like, the at post time skip, she's one of the antagonists or something. These books need better antagonists. I've been saying that forever, so it'd be kind of cool. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I could also see your thing with like a loophole or whatever. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. The loophole thing would be fun.
yeah, that would be fun. I just thought of
I
it.
like the idea of her being in. Well, what about if she found the loophole, but she still like, let's say like the end result was straight up like Odium gets released into the Cosmere, but Roshar saved. Like somehow it's ended like that. So Odium then leaves Roshar, and like it's something like Yasna helps facilitate this so he can leave. So it saves Roshar, and she's like, I helped save everyone, and I'm gonna go ahead and go with him. Bye. I did a good thing. I helped everybody. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
pursue.
maybe.
I'd be about that. Because then it wouldn't be as like
I
her
don't know what she
character
would be
turning
doing
heel.
though. Like
Huh?
if she freed him and then decided to go with him, I don't know what she would do. Like, what would her goal be?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Like
what
just
he
straight up be
basically,
his
what he
second in
basically,
command, be a general.
what he basically offers her is like she can do, she can like initiate all of her ideas, and it was like serve the greater good to be like his right hand man.
Yeah.
Instead of just so like you know conquer everybody, but also you get to like implement all these good ideas.
Yeah,
And it's
new
just
places I take need to be ruled.
yeah, and it's justify the means type stuff, which is all odium. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, but it'd be kind of interesting.
All right. Chapter 124.
Oh wait,
Rejection.
actually, I just had a wild idea. I don't think this is a thing, but what if the uh the signed and sealed copy is like another from Finn is like I transfer of power to you, and
Uh,
it's like a 3D chess. So like Yasna doesn't know about it, Odium doesn't know about it, but she like did a different contract and like gave it to Yasna. That'd be kind of fun. I don't think it's gonna happen. I just thought of it though. But that would probably be two like Uno reverse contracts in a thing. So I don't think it works because Vinley's gonna be. I have a contract. Then Yasna's be. I also have a contract. We all have contracts. But yeah,
I could
the pro-
see that.
I could see if they didn't do it in the Shattered Plains. I don't think you can. You can't do it twice. So, unless the Shattered Plain thing is something completely different, we just misread it. I don't see it.
Or it was a transfer. Finn transferred the queenship of Thalen to Yasna.
Yeah, but they're they're also not like quite a monarchy. So I don't even know if that would work. I don't know.
No, but the queen needs to ratify it.
Yeah.
So then that would make the contract, her ratifying the contract of the Thaylen Council,
Void, yeah.
void because she wasn't the queen.
Yeah.
Because Yasna was the queen. So it's like, oh, this contract is null and void because the queen did not sign it.
Yeah.
That I like that. I can see that happening. And it's not the same. I mean, it is, but it's not. Like
Yeah.
so now Yasna is not queen of the Shattered Plains anymore. She's queen of Thelena.
Yeah.
And Vinley's queen of the Shattered
Yeah.
Plains.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Guess we'll see.
All right. Chapter 124, Rejection. We have Tanavast, and it's 2,000 years ago, so this is the Recreants. So the power of honor began to leave Tanavast because it disapproved of him betraying Mishram. Uh, Tanavast showed the Radiance a vision where the Radiance destroyed the world, causing them to give up their oaths. He didn't tell them that it was probably a false vision, just one possible vision, I should say. He turned his back. He turned back into a human and crashed into the earth as he sought out Kor. Honor then offers Tanavast one more chance if he to remain with the power if he chooses to fight Odium, but he refused because of his promises to protect Roshar. So Tanavast was like, "No, I have to protect Roshar, so I cannot fight Odium." So then Honor takes a piece of Tanner's soul, infuses it into the Stormfather Spren, and Race destroys the rest of Tanner. And if a champion proved themselves and defeated Odium and saved Roshar, then Honor would invest them. Now, theory time, and it's backed up by the end of the last interlude here too, and it fits in with what I've been saying that Taravangian is going to become the vessel of honor as well. So look, the Stormfather says that the power of honor sought a vessel that could best race and protect Roshar. Specifically said best race.
Yeah.
Taravangian bested race.
I'm not saying I'm against the idea because there was a few things I read that I would really hate that idea.
We've
I
seen that the
that.
Shard of Honor has agreed with Taravangian and Odium already. Like there's been several times, and then at the end of this last interlude, it agrees with Odium. Um, it seems a perfect way to me. It seems a perfect way to chain Odium because much like Ruin and Preservation, being shackled together in harmony.
Well, honestly, I will say like preservation and ruin were exact opposites. There was no ruin, preservation was frighteningly evil because there would be no movement. There would just be stagnation. There'd be no growth or anything. So you needed the ruin there to make that work. They were yin and yang, they were opposites. Honor and odium aren't opposites. They both like the battle. You
Yeah.
know, like they're not exactly like put them together and you can create the world. It's like, no, you put them together, they're just gonna fight. Like, I don't know. That's my thing is like
What are they going to fight?
odium. Hmm?
Well, they're gonna go off world, right?
They're gonna clash. They one's passion and wants to, well, it's kind of like he says passion, but it's really more just like war, wanting to conquest. And then one is all about honor, but definitely honor as in this is the correct thing to do, and I will put a line in the sand and I will fight through it. Oh, I know you're gonna cross it, so I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like you might get in like the ideal world, if they do balance each other, they're not going to balance each other to a thing like that, came about for preservation and ruin, where it's like, oh, I will shape this world and I will be thoughtful like that. It's like, no, you'll just get someone that's better at fighting because they'll know how to fight, but also have honor in fighting. Like, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
one
but
thing that I will argue back against it is Taravangian half is knowledge, but half is like the love, like 'cause when he starts passion and when he starts getting dumber, as it says, his IQ goes down, but he becomes way more caring and
yeah,
feeling about
pathetic.
stuff,
Yeah.
not just anger passion. I don't know.
Well, he doesn't have that anymore.
That is true. He had the capabilities, but now he just kind of has both at the same time. I don't know. Like honestly, I don't like it just because
I don't.
I mean Taravangian is so hardcore. The destination is all that matters. Who cares how we got here? The ends justify the means. So for him to take up the power of honor would just been like, all right, this character, due to certain circumstances, regardless of how many horrible, heinous things he's done, is now both.
Well, the thing is,
Like,
I
okay,
don't.
sorry.
I could see it. I don't see how
Yeah.
there's like 5 more books, right? Unless it's like them conquering the rest of the Cosmere, which I guess could be kind of cool. Like we're doing like Infinity Wars, like the rest of the Cosmere.
Or just him
Um,
expanding to the other planets, like reshaping Ashen.
yeah, but like, what's the? It, there's gonna be something with this stupid Wind and Stone and like ad nauseum bullshit with Kaladin. Like, there has to be something with that that's gonna like twist it and stuff. I have a feeling they're gonna make an oath pact with like Bioda Mishrams in it and like Kaladin's in it and Sill's in it and like there's gonna be like this giant oath pact that's gonna like bind them to do some weird thing or something. I don't I don't know what the story is if he just like wins. Because then like Dalinar is like his champion for like 1,000 years and that's not satisfying. So I actually don't know what's gonna happen. Just if this
I
was the last book of the series, then he wouldn't end it on a downer either. So like I don't know. Like maybe he can end it on a downer because like there's gonna be more books and it's gonna be like them like trying to fight him or something. But like how do you fight a god with 2 shards? Like I don't know. So like it's weird. I don't actually know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it's going to go either. I
Because
mean, I
like
don't
honest
fully know where the end of this book is going to go. So,
yeah. Like honestly all the god stuff in this series to me is the weakest parts of these books. I like the characters, I like the conflicts, I like the sprint and stuff, but like the and it's also the weakest part of like Mistborn to me. Like the big god stuff is never the most interesting part. It's like not
Uh,
why I read these books.
but
It's fine, like it's interesting stuff, but it's not like why I read them.
so I was also thinking, like, okay, Mistborn, we start off where the Lord Ruler has ruled for 1,000 years, and it's been like pretty much terrible for most people for 1,000 years.
You know.
But there was the story of the Lord Ruler getting to the point where he became the Lord Ruler. Like this could be, you know, that for Roshar. Like, like the
Yeah.
first 5 books could be that for Roshar, where a lot of times, it's
But it's
lot of us
only a
don't
10
feel
year time skip.
satisfying that we don't feel satisfied if the villain wins, right? But if you start a you know, it's almost like a villain backstory.
Yeah.
Um, so, but
Yeah. I would buy that, but like a 10-year time skip's not long enough. You know what I mean? If it was like a 500-year time skip with all new characters and then like it's more like a Mistborn fight against Odium stuff, I could see that. You can see all the different
I just
like
I don't know. So
yeah, I have no idea either. So I'm just trying to conjecture.
yeah.
Like I could see him getting it. Like that makes sense. Because like I don't
Because
think
he
it's gonna.
also wants to be the one god.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Like,
just
but
feel
But
like if he
like
gets it, it's like him winning.
why like why Teravangian be the bearer of Adel Nauseam? I don't know. Like, like
yeah,
what would that, who would be rooting for that? Not
Yeah.
me. Like
yeah. And like the thing is, like Bioda Mishram has to do something with this, right? Like she has to like get free and gain power over some aspect of Roshar, or else what was the point of her, right? Like
right.
she has to do something. And then the wind and the stone have to do something. So like we have a lot of these things that are gonna like tie together and like maybe all amalgamate in some weird anime ending where like they all they all share the power like they reforge the oath bond and like all of them split the power and it's all weird. I don't know. I don't really know what's gonna happen, which is very interesting. Which I'm glad to read the
You
new
made
books.
me think of some things, but I can't discuss them here because
Yeah,
one, both of y'all haven't read Era 2 of Mistborn,
Yeah.
yeah.
but interesting. Thank you. You made
Yeah,
me think about some stuff that
you're
I can't
welcome.
talk about.
Uh,
But,
yeah,
all right, we're almost done. So
yeah.
the last
Yes,
last
that's
chapter
Last
before
chapter.
interludes.
Interludes.
Chapter 125, One Man Against the Tide. We've got a little bit of Navani and a little bit of Adolin. So Navani, she's talking to Wit. He wrote his contact on Yolen, which is like the original planet that humans were originated from. I don't know if they explained that in here, but I just
no.
know that from 17 shard, copper mine, that type of stuff. They confirm that Odium severing the connection between Navani and Dalinar constitutes as interfering with his ability to make the meeting on time and would cause Odium to forfeit if Dalinar did not make it. He reveals that Teravangian is now the vessel to Odium and that he's unpredictable, but will ensure that Dalinar arrives to the contest on time. He's like, Teravangian wouldn't do that. Uh, wouldn't let him not be there. He thinks that we get a little information like the Teravangian, like for Race to be trapped on Roshar would be like hell for him. But Teravangian being trapped on Roshar for 1,000 years just gives him the opportunity to get used to the power of the shard. Um, and then Wit secretly thinks um, even though he told Navani it, that Dalinar will be the champion of both Honor and Odium. Then we move on to Adolin, and all but the final line. So throughout this day, the line has gone from like 3 to 2 to 1. It finally falls. Adolin sees the final shard bearer get taken down. Abadai emerges wearing the plate and blade. We get some singers chanting that the radiance or the shard bearers have fallen. We now have the shards. Uh, Adolin decides to fall, or he fell and then pretends to be dead. Eventually does rise up, refusing to summon Maya. She says she's on her way emphatically. His peg leg then gets swept out from underneath him and almost gets killed by Singer. Decides that he still wants to live because he wants to see his father one last time. Then arrows take the Singers that are in front of him. Kolat finds him, says that Yanagon refused to leave to safety until they attempted to find Adolin. And they retreat to the safe room where Rahel, or Prala, I think she is, heals as much as she can, and they accept that Aesir has fallen and belongs to Odium now.
Yep. You forgot to mention that Best Girl May Aladar saves his life again.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
I forgot to mention that May Aladar was the one that shot
Yes.
the arrows.
Because
yep.
she is the best girl. She's gonna get a radiant spren next day.
Yeah, maybe so.
Right.
So here was an interesting thought. If Teravangian recruits Dalinar, then wouldn't Dalinar also own the kingdoms and could do what he wants?
Uh, Technically.
So Odium and Dalinar would both rule the kingdoms,
Well,
right?
he'd be enslaved to Odium or whatever, right? That was the God.
Yeah, he'd be his
Well, no,
general.
that's if Dalinar loses the contest of champions.
Yeah. Is that what you said? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying if he decides, so if Teravangian convinces Dalinar to be the champion of Odium, then he's both champions, right?
Yeah,
And so he's on the
But
side of Odium, but
yeah.
Dalinar being on the side, he would have
But
the
why would he
kingdoms.
convince him to be the champion of Odium? I mean, yeah, I mean, sure. That happens.
That, that's what Teravangian wants. Like he wants him to be his champion.
Yeah, after he wins and he's forced to be his champion. That's what I got.
I think Taravangian was hope. Like there might have been some hope that there was Dalinar could be either way, and there might honestly the match between Odium might just be Odium trying to manipulate Dalinar into falling for like
Thing is,
follow.
it's not going to be a fight.
Like
Oh
the
no,
same
no, it's
way
not gonna
he
be a fight.
convinced the same way he convinced Yaz to convince Finn.
Oh, bad logic.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be a fight though. So
no,
No.
it's
it's
going to
not.
be something like that. And then down there is going to be like, Noadon said, and Terravanger be like, Noadon's a fool. And he like pulls Noadon from the spiritual realm, and he has like a talk. He has like, ooh, that'd be cool. Has to convince Terravanger's champion is Noadon. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I just made that up, but that's gonna happen.
All right, interludes. Uh,
Yeah,
Diano.
this one's so dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're in her days. Diano the monk has been captured by the singers in her days and is on the chopping block. He tries some ninja stuff, kicks some boy off, tries to escape, and then a great shell the size of a city shows up.
I was like, okay, sure. I did like him being like, do you have like a hammer? Because getting killed by a hammer is like way more memorable than just getting your head chopped off.
Yeah,
It's
like
like,
just smash my head in. It's like,
yeah,
oh, maybe we do have a hammer. Let's do like, aha.
There is a beheading in Vikings that I always thought was the funniest fucking thing. You know the one I'm talking about, Justin?
that's been a while.
So this dude is getting, his head chopped off, and he's like, or, he's like speaking, and he's saying, like the translator's like, yeah, he's saying that he wants it to be a cleaner kill, so he wants his
Oh
hair
yeah, yeah, I
put off.
remember
So the guy leans over, and they have someone come and hold his hair back because he has long Viking hair. They hold his hair up for the handsman, and right when the headsman's coming down, the dude pulls his head back so the arms holding his hair get chopped off. And he's just like, ah, because he's about to get his head cut off anyway. I mean, why the fuck not?
that.
Fuck with the soldiers around you. Like,
Yeah,
he's like, ah.
I,
I
I,
don't know, that's my it's like, you got a hammer? Like, let's just do it. Let's be weird.
but
ultimately,
these
I think the great shells have to come into play too for
Oh,
something.
they gotta explain something what the Great Show is
these
doing.
have to be the Reshi Isles, right?
They gotta be the right show.
Hey, you're
That's
tired.
the right location.
I mean, yeah, it's the only
Yeah,
thing that makes sense. But
the
still,
size of a city. So yeah.
yeah, like I didn't put that together. I was like, what the hell is happening? Okay, just random kaiju's appear. All right, that's fun. Yeah, like it's gonna be something like the stone call them or something weird. And like they have to because they have to do something with the stone for it to make sense. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, it's, Mink is still such a weird character to introduce. I don't know why he was ever introduced.
He's cool, but yeah,
He's cool, but he's just so weird.
yeah. All right. Last interlude, I-18 Conflux. It's Odium. Dalinar finally gets spit out of Honor's visions, and Odium is excited to bring him to the contest. And Honor hums in agreement with Odium.
Yep,
Yep.
it's just time finally.
So
All right, yep,
that's yeah, I
that's
mean
it.
that's it.
I was just gonna say before we wrap it up, I think we should each make one prediction for the end of the.
Oh, I like it.
So there are one prediction that you think is gonna happen.
I mean, I already made mine, but
You
you
think
want me
that,
to make
yeah,
something else?
sure. So your official one is that Terabangin is gonna get both shards.
Yes. Um, obviously Tyrion and trying. Oh man, I think all right. So outside of that one, Mraize and Shallan kill Iyadol, and I think Iyadol's plan is to um, prevent Ba-Edo Mishram from escaping to do whatever it is for Odium.
Okay. So I'm not gonna do the obvious one like Maya comes back and like they rally and like they get Dox to the palace at the end of the timeline or whatever. I think that's pretty obvious. I think what's gonna happen is that the Renar Merlane Shallan are gonna free Ba'Eda Mishram, and they're gonna pop out of the spiritual realm in Shinovar, and those them four, so Relaine, Renar, Shallan, Ba'Eda Mishram, and uh Ishar, um Nail, and the rest of them, all the people in Shinovar, including Syl, are gonna make it forge the new Oath Pact. So bottom, there's gonna be an unmade, there's gonna be a singer, and there's gonna be a spren in the new Oath Pact.
But it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Need one more, Justin.
Um,
Natoro. You might be there.
Mraize.
yeah, Marays or Natoro. Okay, or maybe they'll just have
Pick
a
one.
9-man.
Pick one.
I'll,
It's not. It can't be 9 because 9 is of Odium. 10 is.
well, maybe if Odium wins, maybe I'll do whatever. Yeah, they'll maybe Murray's.
Officially?
No, because he wants to get um yeah, let's say Seth's dad, say Toro. He's not actually dead, or he comes back as a spirit or some shit.
All right. So
I
Renarin, Relaine, Shallan, Ba'Edo Mishram, Ishar, Nail, Seth, Syl, and Naturo form a new oath pact.
Yeah.
So you've got two new or two old heralds.
Yeah, two
Still,
old heralds. Um they're starting to, so that's like that. Or maybe it's instead of Murray's, it's the wind. So you get like Adal Nauseam, you get like all of the components of Roshar in the Oath Pack instead of just humans.
Instead of Naturo, you mean?
Yeah, that pays off
Do
the
an official
wind.
one. Do an official one.
That is it. Yeah,
Okay.
the wind
The
instead of
wind
Radiant.
instead of Naturo.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Chris.
All right, my first one definitely is Yasna's taking the job.
Okay.
She's gonna take Odium up on whatever the job offer is. That's the obvious one.
Oh, you're obvious. Okay. What's
And my
another?
unobvious one is it's gonna be Moash. And Moash is gonna be killed by Bridge 4. Or he's gonna be defeated by Bridge 4. I don't know if he's
That,
going to be killed.
that's too obvious.
I don't think he's gonna be killed.
The thing is, like,
Um,
yeah, but
oh, you want me to go on an out there one?
yeah, I would just with Moash one, I would agree with you, but they already gave up the Shattered Plane. So unless he attacks Urithiru, I don't know.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah,
They're not
something's gonna
gonna leave
happen.
him.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's gonna be Bridge 4 that comes and saves the day.
I could see it.
Because that's how they're gonna defeat him is with Lopin and Scar and all of them. It's not gonna be one person.
So like three people are still alive from Bridge 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, trying to think of a good one. I don't really have, I mean,
I mean that one's good. The Yasna one is wait, it's not obvious.
I got one that might be out there, but let's just go with it. I don't think this is gonna happen, but it could happen. Delinar will emerge as Odium's champion. He is spit out into the realm and he is Odium's champion. And somehow Ba-Edo Mistrum is gonna come back and represent like Renarin and Relane and Ba-Edo Mistrum are gonna pop back and they're gonna somehow fight Delinar being Odium's champion. I don't know how exactly yet, but that's the makeup is gonna be those versus
Yeah.
Delinar. And one of them is gonna ascend to honor.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, mine has that Renarin prophecy thing, which is why I can call that. But we all agree that Azamar is gonna have the cool Maya thing come back and they're gonna win the day there. And that's gonna
Something's
happen.
gonna happen there, yeah.
Yeah. Something epic is going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it has to. If it doesn't, it's just like, oh.
Yeah.
All
It will
right.
be hilarious if it turns out like she returns and she brought like 3 dead eyes and like 2 honor sprints. I was just like,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. So
Anyone listening? Put y'all's in the put y'all's theory in the comments. Let's see.
yeah. Yeah. That was the end of day 9.
Let's
Next.
just do day 10 right now. Let's just start reading it out loud.
All right. Audiobook time.
Yeah.
All right.
So day 10 is going to be next big episode. We got Dalinar, Adolin, Seth, Kaladin, Shallan, Navani, Renarin, Relane, Yanagan, Mraize, Vinley, Nail, Silfrena, Taravangian, Sigzil, Yasna, and Wit.
No,
Yeah,
everyone.
and there you're a loser.
We don't have Sadius.
Oh, true.
Sadius is a loser.
Yeah.
We don't have
like
lift
only
either.
losers die, right?
Yeah, no lift.
Yeah. She'll be in there though.
Yeah. I hope so. I
Just
don't know
under
what she will
just
do.
under 200 pages.
Yeah, but the 178.
All right, let's read the last word. I'm sure.
Huh?
So I'm gonna read the last word.
Page 729. Snape kills Dumbledore.
It
Miles.
says fuck. That's really weird. That's the end of the book.
That's the way.
Fuck.
Fuck.
I am a
Well,
stick.
Yeah.
All right. So thank y'all for listening. Like, follow, subscribe, share, leave a rating and review where you can. Don't forget to visit our sponsor, Mudcat Whiskers, www.mudcatwhiskers.com. Use code Paperweights at checkout to save yourself 15% on beard care products, candles, and coming soon, cologne. And we will see y'all next time. I think next week we're gonna do we might do a tier list, a character tier list. Just because this coming weekend we'll be celebrating a delayed 40th birthday celebration for me. So we might not have enough time to record day 10, but we're gonna discuss Stormlight character list, tier
Yeah.
list.
And people love tier lists.
people do love your list.
So tune into that. If you've made it this far, then you know. Cool.
Yeah.
And still nobody has claimed the prize.
I'm sure I'll go make an account claim.
Y'all have a good night.
Okay.
Or
Bye.
whatever. See y'all next time.